Welcome to Life Support Live, the live show that explores how Star Trek can help us to boldly go in our own lives to better ourselves and the rest of humanity.
I'm just looking. It's like this line. I said, don't cross that line. The line must be drawn here and no further.
I thought you were going to go with remember.
Oh, yeah. Vulcan Mind Mills are back in style now. It's a great way to end off a season of new shows.
Hello, everyone. Oh,
Hey.
Larry, it's your line.
It is my line. But yeah, everybody. Welcome to Life Support Live. It is my line. No, you say the first one and then I say the second one.
Yeah, I said the first one.
You did?
I did.
Already?
So it's time for the second one.
This is no good. I want separate studios again.
Let's try again. Welcome to Life Support Live, the live show that helps. Now I'm messing it up. Thank you, Larry. The weekly live show that helps you to boldly go in your own lives to better ourselves and the rest of humanity.
You know, even with that delivery, that reminds me of something that a famous starship captain once said. And it makes me remember another famous starship captain who's about to get a whole lot more famouser.
Yeah, soon, very soon.
Yes, very soon.
Yeah.
That wherever our mission takes us, and I mean this totally metaphorically today, we're going to have a little fun along the way.
Hello, everyone. I am psychologist Dr. Ali Mattu.
Finally. And I am Dr. Larry Nemecek, and you'd never know it, but one of us is a real doctor.
And two of us are in a real place, in a real time, in the same space-time.
Same space-time continuum, or not so continuum. This
Well-
has only happened once before.
Are you prime timeline, Larry?
I'm prime time all the way.
I don't know.
Though, I don't know if you're ready for prime time.
Hey now,
That's a thing.
I prefer the that timeline where everyone's really happy all the time. Apparently.
We have no time. Okay, we have no time to talk about timelines. Okay.
They say time is the fire in which live streams burn.
That's what they say, all right, yeah.
Hello, this is a special episode.
This is very special on several occasions. Number one, look, we're both
Number one's here?
No.
Where is he?
We're both wearing our frickin' track matching t-shirts.
Hey!
Okay.
My daughter this morning was like, why are you both wearing t-shirts with your faces on? She was like, I don't understand.
Don't go into marketing, hun. Okay. No, this is special because this is number 88, but it's also going to be, we're together live, which has only happened once before.
Yes.
This was totally accident of timing. It just happened to come out this way, both for us to be together and for us to be together on the finale of the weekly Life Support Live as we know it. It's the end of weekly Life Support Live as we know it.
And I am caffeinated.
He sure
is.
is.
As are you.
Yes. I have to get used to looking at this camera, not my iMac.
You can look
Yeah.
look wherever you like.
And
Larry.
I will look like Mr. Amateur Podcaster here. Yes. Hi, everybody.
No,
this is our finale. As you all know, there's changes coming in the Mattu household.
I consider it a season finale.
A season finale. It's
This is
the end
finale,
of week. Right. We're about to go to our motion picture phase.
It's going to be a long episode. That next episode is going to be a long one.
Actually, it's going to be in the horror genre if we do that. But no, and then on top of all that, again, the timing just worked out where we're saying this morning, hopefully, a hello to all the folks coming over from Virtual Trekland 3. So if we've got some new folks,
we were on 1 and 2.
Yes, we've been on before. Right.
Yeah.
We've been on as many as you can be.
Also, I think those were also critical. Those are as many as you can be.
Well, I mean, this is the third one, and we've been at all three.
That's true. Tim says, where can one get one of those shirts? Well, Larry, where can one get one of those shirts?
You can look at TeePublic and the Trekland store. I think Scott's in the chat with us today. He can put the link in and the address in for us. But yeah, my whole Trekland store includes a lovely assortment of Life Support Live gear.
Yeah,
you can get it. You can get Life Support on a thing like my Trek Well mug.
Yep.
Guess who didn't pack his Life Support glass for today? Guess who totally forgot to get the other doctor a set of Life Support glasses?
We do have celebratory Life Support pastries. which are also
A hell of a
available.
lot fancier than those old Skinny Cow vanilla sandwiches. Yes.
Yeah, this is, we class it up for our season finales here.
Yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed the box of pastries we sent to all of our loyal lifers.
Yes, we got some virtual Trekland fam here. Kimbers is here saying what's up to everyone, and Scott, thank you for sharing the T-shirt link right over there.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks for doing that, folks. So, if this is your 88th time here at Life Support Live,
let us know. Number one, have you been with us since the first one?
So we've got we did a few things to get ready. Because
I think there were 4.7 people maybe watching the first one.
Yeah, 2 of those were us. So if this is your 80th time here, or if this is your 3rd time here with Virtual Trekland, or if this is your first time here, Larry, what do we do at Life Support Live?
Or D, none of the above.
Yeah. If you're not watching, which would be my wife and daughter in the other room.
Normally, they're like Michael Collins. They're like the command module pilot circling the moon, and they're the only people that can't watch the
they're
the moonwalk.
The moon, yeah.
In that technology. No, hey everybody, yes, we really do have a show here. We really do have a structure. Every week we have been coming since the pandemic. We began this. This was a failed, not accepted panel idea to WonderCon, but it was not accepted.
2020.
It was
accepted. It was accepted.
Yeah. But it was not accepted in the end because the virus would have nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Which virus would that be?
That would be
for all the future viewers.
The original Corona, except no substitutes.
Not Omicron, not Delta. The original strain.
No. Yeah. No stinking A, B, C, or D. No, this was an idea, and we decided to, at the time, think back, as you will, to March of 2020, and everybody was like, "Oh my God!" And people I was in circles with was saying, "Just go serve your communities, just go." And so I said, "Let's not let this get away. Let's do it as a live stream, and we'll learn a little along the way." And boy, have we learned a lot along the way, and we'll get into that too. But yes. We said for the duration, and we didn't know how long that would be. Maybe 6 months, maybe a year.
We didn't think it was going to be 88 episodes. That's for sure. 88 weeks.
And most of our, we've done some watch-alongs, we've done some fun specials, but most of the time, we geek out every week. We pick a theme. Since we've had New Trek every week, we go with a New Trek episode, but we look across the whole Star Trek spectrum, the whole canon, and come up with a theme, and then Dr. Ali does his thing with his real shingle, and I do my thing with my deep diving Star Trek fake shingle.
Remember.
You do now that you're not like losing your arm when you go across the middle line. So we're a little giddy today because it's our last one, but also we're here together, which has only happened once before. So hopefully we'll be checking the chat. The other thing is we've got one thing that wasn't expected was we've got this wonderful audience of our lifers out there. And just to say, everybody, we're not totally going away. You won't get rid of us that easy. Yeah. We're going to keep life support around for specials occasionally. We will have maybe a watch along. Yep. When something happens in Trekland, the real Trekland, we'll react to it. Yeah. And hopefully we'll have at least, occasionally a con panel or two live, maybe in your area. And
for the duration, we are having our Facebook group, which I think a few people might have shared the link to that. But if you haven't, you can check it out at Life Support Live on Facebook, where our community hangs out. We talk, we support each other, we share memes, we laugh, we cry. We all
kiss
the
$6
feels.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
That's another. I'm doing throwbacks all over the place here, and we want to thank our moderators throughout time.
Yeah, throughout time, all time.
Scott and Jarrod, and I know Jarrod has kept when we've had weeks off. Jarrod has had Zoomy chatty things on Zoom for the lifers, so people don't have too much withdrawal. And Jarrod has said he's going to try to do at least one a month, so the page will be up, the community will still be there. We even have there's a rumor we even have a Discord channel if we would go nurture it.
We do.
But we're not going anywhere. We're just going to abandon the weekly Saturday morning ritual with you all and the happy and the sad music and all of that. But we will still be around.
Yeah. I've got a baby coming next month. Or no, not next month. What month is next month? It's April. I have a baby coming late May, and we figured we'd like to have our
Amazon supply chain problems. It's not.
we wanted to wrap up the weekly version of the show on our terms and not have it surprisingly end unexpectedly. So what we're doing today, we're going big picture. We're gonna take a big look.
Oh, I can't do this. I can't do this in my frame. Now I have to do that. Okay. Now I have to do this.
Are you talking about this?
Yeah, I'm used to.
Oh, this.
I'm used to just doing this and having it point at the.
It's a lot easier when you're in person.
Yes.
Because sometimes I do this, and
we're
if
actually,
I'm on the other side.
We're actually on. I got this.
We're on other sides.
We're on other sides.
Yeah. That's what happens when you set up the camera.
This is.
Right
I usually
before.
don't sleep on this side of the bed, but okay.
It's so weird. It feels so weird. And
I know. I really wanted to bring a big blue S and just freak you all out, but
Wardagon
think of it today.
also has a grandbaby coming next month.
Oh, okay.
It's a big busy baby time. So what we're doing today is we're doing a big picture look at Star Trek and also at our community and everything we've kind of learned along the way here. And so let's open up. Larry, I've got it. I've got some segments for us. Let's take a look.
These are all new credits.
I've got new credits for our season finale.
It's like building a new model of a 3-nacelle Enterprise for the finale.
Yeah, that's what I did.
It's like splurging even when you're going out the door.
But don't get too excited. It's more like Picard season 1 finale.
Oh.
I made one new segment card and I've copied it about 900 times.
Okay.
So my budget, for Live Sport Live was small for the finale. I saved it all for
I'm gonna let somebody in the chat say the name of the ship because I still haven't learned it. It's the Chen Ho or the T Animan or something. I don't know.
Most of my budget went to de-aging Brent Spiner's data, so that's
most of your budget went to the croissants.
Yeah, that's true. So, Larry, one of the things that we wanted to do was this episode is called Transitions.
Yes.
And we wanted to take a look at...
Transitions for us, transitions for you, transitions for Star Trek on screen. And off.
And we've got a lot happening right now. We just had the season 4 finale of Star Trek Discovery. Mm-hmm. We have Picard that's starting. As you've been alluding to for now... Let me check my watch. 88 episodes. Strange New Worlds is coming out
down
soon.
The pike.
Yeah, the literal one. Just around the corner, down the pike, on the horse. There's... Oh my gosh! After that, we have new Prodigy, new Lower Decks.
The rest of New Prodigy, and then new Lower Decks, and then right.
Well, and they already filmed season 3 of Picard, the last season of Picard.
What's confusing people now is they've announced the new actor playing the new young Kirk,
James T. Kirk.
Yeah. And people are confused because Strange New Worlds hasn't even aired yet.
Right.
And people are saying, but this is for season 2, and you got the less savvy folk out there, understandably confused. That wait, so he's not in this season, but it's like, hello, welcome to streaming world, guys.
It is a little strange. Not only did they announce the season 2 casting of James T. Kirk, they already have an image of him for season 2.
Fresh from football practice.
We haven't even seen
the Academy team. He was all still sweaty.
We haven't seen a minute of footage for Strange New Worlds.
Well, finally. A few seconds of footage. There was a teaser trailer.
We have the teaser. We haven't seen like a clip. We don't know what the show's like. So and Larry, something you and I have never talked about ever.
Okay.
Is a new film.
Right.
I mean, we haven't talked about a new film because no new films come out since we've been doing Live Support Live. But there is a new film scheduled, surprising the actors who are starring in it. There's a new film scheduled to go into production late this year.
What's worse? What's more undependable? Crazy rumors from nowhere, or official releases from Paramount about a Star Trek Arabic number 4 movie that keeps changing every 3 months? But maybe they're on. I think they're onto this.
I like how it's the Kelvin line is Star Trek Arabic numeral 1, 2, 3. The originals are the Roman numeral.
Yes.
And the Next Generation is no numerals.
Yeah, well, some people insist. The numerals stopped with Star Trek 6.
We got a K3
in
going on.
1992.
Do you know how I do
This
a K3?
isn't even a K. How do you do a K?
I do a K3.
That's amazing.
K3.
I'm going to take you on tour with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is the K3? K3 Factor is when we do a deep dive into the behind-the-scenes knowledge of Star Trek that you might not know or understand, but will come to love to appreciate.
This is getting dangerous. Yes, K3 Factor was the... We're not doing it now. We're doing it later. But the K3 is the only mention of mental health in the original series on McCoy's bio readout board above the sickbay beds. Before they were bio beds, they were just sickbay beds. And the K3 factor is the only thing that's related to brain activity in that.
Remember.
But that's coming later. So this is a special episode. We're out of format. You saw the whole new title card. We're talking about transitions for us, for fandom, for Star Trek, and for us here on Saturday mornings. Our transition is going to be ending here weekly, and I know some of the regulars are going to be. I can't see the chat like normal, so because we're duct tape and baling wire a couple of things this morning.
I've got. I'm saving the comments here. We're gonna dive in and out of the comments, but I want to ask you all, what do you think of this state of Star Trek? Because where it is, Larry, I'm
It's right. No, it's right over there.
It's right over there.
Yeah.
I'm checking it out right now. What I think is
I never eat on camera. This is.
I know
awkward.
it's a special episode.
Okay.
It's a.
I hope you all got the boxes that we sent to everybody.
Yes, everyone who provided their address got a box.
If not, blame Putin.
Yeah. Oh God, we can blame him for a lot of things right now.
I won't go there.
One of the things I'm wondering about. I'm just going to ask you up top. Because I want to eat a pastry.
I'm so not used to looking sideways.
I know.
Looking sideways is just looking over there.
Cheat, and look to the camera.
Okay.
I'm looking sideways, folks. Really, I am. Old trick I learned on the Paramount lot.
But it's not even my side of the bed. As usual,
I know.
So.
Well, Larry, sometimes you gotta spice things up.
Mm-hmm.
So, the state of Star Trek, Larry, I want to get your thoughts. We are in the thick of it now, of this continuous era of new Trek.
What's the international symbol for New Trek?
What? This is the international symbol for New Trek. Larry, what say you to this era we find ourselves in?
What say me? Well,
what say you?
What say me? Well, I think there was the big, as we used to say, there was the whole. We always used to talk and brag about the well-oiled machine, whether it was really as well-oiled as we remember. We have the rosy glasses.
You're talking about the 90s.
I'm talking about the 60s and then the 80s, 90s. I'm talking about every era. I'm talking about every era.
We're going back.
Well-oiled
machine of the 60s. Who called TOS era a well-oiled machine?
Well, nobody. Bob Justman in his dreams. But no, I mean they had you can tell. You look at the second season; it's not as insane as that there. And then they just got budgets chopped. Anyway, we're not deep diving yet. But my point is.
That's all we do.
The startup time has always been really rough on a show,
yes.
and the
with the exception of TOS.
Okay, because they were blind. It was all new then.
Are you talking?
It was.
Are you talking in the final product or behind the scenes?
Yes.
Both.
Yes.
All of the above. Okay.
Mainly behind the scenes.
Okay. But I'm going to actually shut up now and let Larry talk. Go ahead, sir.
Have another croissant.
Yeah. Go ahead, Larry.
That's Klingon for croissant. Okay.
Great songs will be sung of this croissant.
Yeah. No, I mean everybody. You know what I mean. It's hard to get something as complex. Not just that it's a complicated thing. A lot of TV and production is complicated. You got the complication of starting it up, and you've got it's a high bar. It's a bar about 14 stories above me. The high bar of expectation. Mm-hmm. And boy, and then if something is a little off, you take, Next Generation's first season, but then DS9 and Voyager benefited from the startup from Next Generation and didn't have quite so rocky a start. And Enterprise was finding a new way, but even there, that was. And then the Kelvin movies are interesting that way. And movies, anyway, are interesting. The motion picture was a 10-year, what are we going to do with this thing? This has never happened before. Startup. And it was rough and rocky for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And boy, Discovery tops them all, and we talk about that. But there are a lot of people that still want to group everything together: Discovery, Picard, Strange New Worlds, which you haven't seen except for a trailer, and a new kid in his football uniform, and the two animateds, and people want to ball that together. And I think as they have unspooled and unwound and had time to air out a little bit, we've seen differences. But Discovery is always going to be the one that had the rocky start and the startup time. And a lot of people still lump all these new shows together, the Kurtzman era together, the Secret Hideout era. And some people are seeing differences and having favorites among them. So it's a transition time for a lot of people. And then the transition to streaming, just as people had to transition to cable a long time ago. And, Star Trek wasn't free in the 80s and 90s for a lot of people. And it sure hadn't been free for the last 20, 30 years, even with the legacy shows. So there's a lot, and some of this is coming and going and ebbing and flowing. And it seems like just the other day, but we're already seeing acceptance of people streaming on apps as ancient history now. Now it's just a thing you have to manage, where before Star Trek was pioneering a brave new world and getting yelled at for it, in a lot of ways. No, I'm serious. It's what is this? And a lot of people still aren't up with streaming, and that's fine. They'll come along. But there's transitions in every aspect of Star Trek behind the scenes, and we're still evolving. And then you lay a pandemic on top of that, but be careful because it's viral. You lay a pandemic on top of that, and you know what? We've all gotten used to this. So that's Star Trek on screen, and then there's Star Trek on our screen, like right here.
Yeah. So yes. There's okay, so
like this thing.
So you took a K3-ish.
What is this thing called streaming?
Yeah. What is this thing called live support? What I am gonna take the angle on is a little bit of the mental health angle here.
Please do.
And one of the things that I've been one of the things that I don't want to skip forward to looking back at Life Support Live, but one of the things that you and I have done every week here is when there's new Star Trek, we take an idea or a mental health theme from that episode and explore all of Star Trek from that perspective. And if you haven't seen the show, folks, I know there's some folks here that are new. Check back at our old episodes, either on Larry's YouTube channel.
Where you're watching now.
Wherever you're watching now, we have them there too. We also have our podcast. We're going to upload the whole catalog. We've got about half of it up right now. We're going to upload the rest 50? Of it.
Or 50?
There's 50 up. We're going to get the rest up. And thank you to Scott, who makes that all possible.
And they're audio-ized, so a lot of the fluff and the topical things of the moment are cut. So it's just the hardcore essence, because this show is all about the hardcore essence.
Scott cleans it up and leaves enough of the dirt in there just for you to enjoy. But
a little film grain there in the digital.
I put a little bit of film grain in those croissants for you too, Larry. I hope you enjoyed that. One of the things that we've done every week is find new themes from new episodes, or look at bigger ideas or characters, or do these watch-alongs and do a deep dive. And so one of the things I've noticed about older Star Trek...
But never to the point of thinking you were studying for a quiz tomorrow.
Yeah, it's always fun.
It's always fun.
Yeah, I don't know if we've ever done anything serious.
There was that one time.
There was that one time. Yeah. And boy, was that serious. But then, as soon as you get too serious, you just think of Boimler, and then you're not. I just watched Lower Decks the other day, the TNG episode. Boimler is so based on that guy in that episode.
Oh, the neurotic.
I never connected those dots because I haven't seen. Well, he's that, but like
his
Lower
hair
Decks
was nothing like Boimler's.
It's that personality. Like him, buying a drink for oh, what are you having? I'll have one of those. Hey, so, how was it growing up? My grandfather's Canadian. Yeah, okay. Aren't you Canadian? Nope. Grew up in Alaska. Okay, I'm out of here. I'm freaking out. Sir, your drink? It's
a little amped up, right?
It's that scene. I saw that scene and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Boimler. Anyways, I had a point. My point is, one of the things that I've learned about...
It's not Tendi. Okay.
Oh, yeah. No. I think it stops there. That's the only character that is lifted from Lower Decks into Lower Decks. Okay. And then amped up to Lower Decksified. I have a point, Larry. my point
Let's see.
is, my point is that as we've done this deep dive into Star Trek and mental health, one, I've been surprised by how many themes we've been able to explore.
Mhm.
Like we started this with just like a 12 episode outline.
Yes.
And we thought we would exhaust all the mental health topics we could talk about in Star Trek in those 12 episodes. Here we are,
starting
88.
with Picard and trauma.
Yeah, we thought we'd be done. Here we are, 88 episodes later.
The virus didn't listen to us, however.
No,
Didn't pay attention to our plan.
We did not think that
The 12-week pandemic was not to be.
No, we didn't flatten that curve. But with newer Star Trek, what I have been really surprised by, getting back to the state of Star Trek, is Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, Prodigy. All of these shows have done a much deeper exploration of the internal.
Yes.
And that is a transition I never expected, where, we have this serialized storytelling, which Deep Space Nine did first. But everything is serialized.
Eventually.
And everything, not to, DS9 was never to this degree, but they were making 25 episodes.
Hello, passenger.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, but we have the serialized storytelling, and we have these larger arcs, and that's a big transition. But if you look at these episodes and how they compare to older Star Trek, Star Trek Discovery is all about the internal discovery and the discovery of their relationships. It's not so much about external discovery and Alien of the Week.
I know, and what's up with that? Damn it!
And same goes for Picard. So if we...
It's not called Star Trek Personnel Files.
And
we have a little... Yeah, I know.
Even Lower Decks, which is presented as a bit more standalone episode, comedy. It had Crisis Point was such a deep dive into the internal. So when it comes to the state of Star Trek, I think
Are you saying that Mariner was much better at self-therapy than Ezri ever was with Garrick?
Oh my goodness.
Push that button.
If I give Ezri, one alpha quadrant, I'm gonna give Mariner the whole galaxy when it comes to.
Well, that was a convoluted
yeah.
She gets better though.
She does get better
when she's tracking the serial killer.
Yeah. Good job with that, Ezri. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say here is
nothing against Nikki. Nikki's wonderful.
Yes. No. Amazing. She was at one of the first conventions I went to as an adult, which is she was.
I was the first person to interview Nikki.
Oh, really?
In her trailer, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
When she was announced?
When she was she'd been shooting for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And it was no big deal because it was 7th season. They were on their way out the door, so nobody was being all, precious and clumsy about it.
Yeah. So what I love about the current state of Star Trek is all the series are doing a deep look inside. And while older Star Trek did that from time to time, never to this degree.
Okay, so that's you with your actual not fake signature or shingle on the wall as a psychologist.
Yeah.
But what about the rest of everybody?
Hiding the shingle right now. The wall's pretty bare, but yes.
But what about the rest? Do you think that's the best for Star Trek? Or is this just a is that just a transition that we have to get used to?
Well,
with Strange New Worlds on the way.
So, Christoph just said right here, Disco has trauma of the season. Picard has one trauma. Now, I think that can be the criticism, right? Is this feels like we're constantly stuck in dealing with these characters' traumas, and I think that is what Picard season 1 felt more like.
No, Discovery's also constantly stuck with the disaster of the season.
Yes, they're also or season 1, which had multiple disasters in front and behind.
I was going to say, which side of the camera are you talking about?
Both. I think that can be the criticism.
We spent how much for this Klingon set we're stuck with?
Let's keep reusing it.
Okay.
Klingon Mach. So I think that can be the criticism, and I think Christoph is right off. That's what these first few seasons have felt like. But getting to Definitely Discovery season 3 and much more 4. I think we're seeing more different themes. Like mental health is a
Well, the
really
33rd century is obviously a much touchier, feelier time.
They've gone through stuff. So I wanted to share this. I don't know if I ever did it. Maybe we did this early on in Life Support Live, but I wanted to share this definition of mental health. This is my favorite definition. It comes from mentalhealth.gov. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also determines how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. That's broad. That's a lot of stuff.
Well, you got it off the interwebs. So
I did.
Be
it's
careful.
True.
Okay. Mentalhealth.com.
.gov.
Oh, .gov.
.gov.
You're going to trust them, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
The thing I love about that definition is it gets to the breadth and diversity and idic of mental health, which I have seen more from things like season 3 and 4 of Discovery. Not so much season 1 and 2 of Discovery or season 1 of Picard. It was way more narrow and focused. So to Christoph's point, I think we're getting closer to the breadth of that stuff. But the early on stuff was kind of like singular in the focus of trauma, Locutus, Borg, trauma, Tyler, trauma.
Trauma, chameleon. Okay. It comes and comes, it goes and doesn't go. Okay. It finally evolves.
And once in a while you can grow from it. That's called post-traumatic growth.
I don't know any more lines of that song except the chorus, because that's all you had to say. But no, okay.
Yeah.
So we chose the theme today. We are transitioning.
Yes.
Unlike the crewman in Lower Decks who was trying to transition to the higher plane. And finally did. Koalas. We need a koala in here.
Great episode. That was a great episode.
I knew you would say that. Yeah. So aside from not having a koala here as we transition this time, we're transitioning, but we were just talking about Star Trek transitioning, and even like Discovery's first 2 seasons, it always felt like a misfit. They feel like they're in their skin now.
Yes.
The original creative oomph. It's like this is really where they always went. They didn't want to be 10 years, and that was actually Brian's original thing. He wanted to do an anthology series with the same, like American Horror Story. He wanted to take the same cast of actors and plop them into different eras of Star Trek.
Which I love that concept.
What a great idea.
Each season, different era.
And they almost wound up doing it here.
Yeah.
How about different centuries, but we do 2 here and 2 here? Or not 2 centuries, like 800 years, 900 years. But the studio is saying, oh no, we got to build up characters. We got to sell action figures. We can't be hopping from year to year. We'll never sell anything.
We don't want to build a new bridge every season.
No one will ever get, no one will ever get emotionally attached to it except the hardcore collectors, and they will want a new bridge module every season. But most people will
my God, the starships? Could you imagine all the starships we'd be buying in that anthology series?
Have you noticed what it's doing lately?
Oh yeah.
How many ships are in Discovery? How many ships are now in Picard? How many the STO, the online ships are coming over?
Let's sell the non-production version of it and this variant and this concept art.
But I'm not making fun because we didn't have anything new for 15 years.
No, and look, I mean, I've got some of my
I'm making a little
right
fun
there.
But But my point here is
we are attempting to do some good bohemian.
I still can't do it.
Bohemian.
Transitions, I thought.
Fallacy in your head.
Hang on, everybody. Here's where I'm gonna do a little imitation of Trekland Tuesdays Live, my weekly show on Tuesdays, where the shtick is.
What day is Tuesdays Live on?
It's the day after Monday.
And you pre-record it, right?
No, it's live.
Okay. Just making sure.
And it's about Battlestar Galactica? No, it's about Trekland.
You fracker.
Can I just say, so we had a snafu, you'd think being in the same room, so among the snafus were...
I let this guy onto the show. Am I right?
I feel like I'm doing a home improvement show where we're about to go flip a room and we're arguing over whether to knock the wall down or not. No, gang, we don't have automated email. So I'm going to do it the old-fashioned Trekland Tuesdays way because this theme not only is fitting us, but it fit. And it was a fitting theme for something is obviously going to happen as the season ends and the arc is wrapped up. And who's going to... Book a ship didn't make the transition. Tarka didn't... Spoilers! A lot of things didn't make the transition. Other aspects of Discovery did, but it's an end of a curve. Obviously, season enders are that way, as in show. But there was a interesting scene, Mr. Psychologist, where
it's Dr. Psychologist to you, buddy.
Oh, okay. Capital P, little H, period, capital D, period.
Little
the
D.
Scene.
Did you just...
Come on, here, real mental health here.
Yeah,
the final scene that Michael and Book share together.
Oh,
was all about the.
It's beautiful.
We even got. Can we
autofocus? Well, it's focusing on your face. Cover your face, and it might. There we go.
So we've got the scene where we not only got the big goodbye.
Yeah.
Hello, Dixon Hill.
Yeah.
But we got equation. We got an alien word for a form of goodbye, like a color.
A beautiful. Not only did we get it, but we also the universal translator failed to translate that phrase. So we got it was taught. We learned what that phrase meant, and it was beautiful. It was Book talking about how hunters say goodbye to each other on Quajon. Let's cover our faces. There you go.
Yay. We say...
Oh, yeah, please do try to pronounce
Quaconi Yakan.
Oh, hey, there you practiced.
Quaconi Yakan.
You practiced that.
That's not a new game from the Delta Quadrant. No, that is what they used to say on Quajon.
The hottest game on Kazon Prime. Quaconi Yakan.
Look at him. So, no, I just thought it was... We'd already picked this theme, and then bang, here they deliver... They deliver their own transition
who would have thought of
ending.
That?
Who would have thought that?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Discovery, you're off the hook. You're back in my book.
The finale had a lot of great moments that related to this theme of transitions and you know I'm thinking again about what Christoph said about how singular and focused and trauma that was Discovery and Picard has been. But if you even just look at this last episode, we have some really wonderful moments. And Book might be the character that sells it all for us this season. Not only do we have this theme of communication, diplomacy, how important it is to work through our problems and not just blindly
blast it.
Yeah. I mean, again,
the scientific method was on display.
Display. We, Larry, like season 3 of Discovery ended up being this story about connection at a time when we can't connect, right? The burn, dilithium,
and
everyone is isolated, and that came out right after we had all these lockdowns.
Welcome to the season review episode of Life Support Live.
But no, here's with season 4, it's ended up becoming, and it's a little bonk over the head, but it's a theme about diplomacy, connection, to resolve our conflicts at a time when we are the closest we have been to a potential world
and a lot of trust issues between people who haven't really worked together and now are facing life and death situations, including bringing Tilly back for a season finale just so she can have she can run her cadets who do admirably and are all getting along now, whether or not they have their own series or not.
Yeah.
And then she and Vance had that long, and they have a great scene there together, whether it's the old facing, it's like what are the bitter two, in their trenches together and they're facing death and it's like their own little shuttle pod one.
So it's a wonderful moment.
It's like their shuttle pod one moment.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't need to do a whole episode on this. Let's just give them the whole space station, and wow, that station is beautiful.
But what will Tilly
spiral design?
What will Oded and May call their podcast in 20 years when they do it?
This is what I want to say about Book. So there's all these themes, and again, like you see it differently given the invasion of Ukraine that is happening. But with Book, we see grief. We see growing from that grief. We also see him saying it's not good enough for us to not destroy each other. We need to dismantle these things so we can't do that again. Again, given these Cold War sentiments that are now coming back up, what a timely message. And then, Larry, you know what really got me about that episode?
There was room for more?
Yes. And his sentence, his punishment.
Yes.
Is he's not locked up off of New Zealand like
Thomas Eugene Paris
or Julian Bashir's dad. Both of them. That was the other episode.
And that was only like 20 years. No. Well, it was 850.
It was a while back from that.
Yeah.
What was his punishment? What is his sentence? Do you remember?
He is going out to help with the resettlement of the refugees.
Yeah.
And people who have been through similar shock and trauma.
What a great.
And they're all sweating it. Oh my God. Where are they going to stick you away? I'll never see you again. How long are you going to be put away?
Yeah.
And they're all sweating it. Michael is, oh my God, I'll never see you again. What are you going to do? Oh, for a while at least, I'm going to help with the people displaced.
What a beautiful way for him to serve the Federation, to find a way to make amends for the things that he's done here by helping others. I mean, this
after he'd already showed the error of his ways and come in and showed some redemption actions.
Yeah. His character,
so they had to modify his plea agreement.
Yeah, his character is really wonderful, and I think that's what the show Star Trek Discovery is all about. It's all about that internal discovery of someone like Book and what he goes through. And I think it's hard for people who are watching and waiting for a lot of the social commentary. And that's hard for me too, Larry, getting back to the state of Star Trek. I got into Star Trek because of the way it made me. It's Star Trek 6, Cold War, the end of Cold War. A new way of looking at it. That's what Star Trek gave me, a new lens to look at myself and the world around me. Star Trek is now focused much more on a new way of looking deep inside you and not so much about what's going on in the world. Its social commentary is telling us we need connection. Its social commentary is not what we saw in a lot of the original series episodes.
Well,
and the morality plays.
And may I say, that, again, the other thing undergirding this last season.
What is undergirding? I always wonder what's undergirding this stuff.
It's the girds that go under. It's not overgirding. It's undergirding.
Yeah, we want a proper level of girding.
Yeah, and forget about side girding. But undergirding this season was the fact that it was shot in pandemic. So, the K3 of this year and people have been praising, for the most part, these smaller scenes. There's not as much slam bang. In fact, well, this is Picard. Anyway, I was admiring the time travel sequence in Picard this time, where they didn't even, there's no external shots. There's no big, it's just they're doing everything with lights. It's amazing. But that's a side tangent. So much was pulled back for simplicity of shooting with protocols in the pandemic time that you had like the Tilly and Vance scene. It was a big deal if you had 5 live people in a scene together. It's like, you imagine they were probably had somebody protocol officer on set going, okay, and masks down, take 2 for 10 seconds, and masks up. If there wasn't, if they weren't already distant. But that COVID factor, is that for the good, for the better, for worse? Will it stick around? Will that be a residual effect?
I don't know.
On the show's tone, or
Yeah. So there's
Picard is full of small, even there's 5 or 6 of them, but even then there's still 2.
Before we get to Picard, let's. So Scott said, I think the season was full of quite beautiful Trek ideas, but no one in the writers' room seems to understand how to craft those ideas into season-long stories that show actual characters. So Scott is a little bit more on the critical side of this. One thing I will say, Larry, is when we did our weekly theme from this week's episode, excuse me,
he always gets choked up about it.
Yeah. One of the things that was there's a few episodes where we watch it and we're like, well, I mean, not much happened externally or internally. This gave us one new piece of information that moved us a little bit closer to 10C. And that has happened a few times in Discovery and in Picard, where certain episodes, they don't give you much to work with. And something that we've heard about in our Star Trek community here, the lifers, is sometimes it makes it less rewatchable. If the whole season is about what happens, who's the Red Angel? What caused the burn? Who are the 10C? Well, once you know,
this is what I'm. Well, no. Well, you know who wins the Dominion War.
yeah.
I mean, Will.
Oh, you believe that happened?
Yeah. What was it? Wolf 359 was an inside job.
Yeah.
No, I mean, once you know the plots of, you've known the plots of, the Tribbles get beamed over the Klingon ship at the end, and that's how they solve that. I mean, you've known the plots for ages. It's the individual moment. It's when the plot thickens over a whole season. I mean, I keep saying, the jury is still out. In 10 years, how we look at all of these current series. Mm-hmm. And don't blame, Alex Kurtzman and all that. That's where TV is. Look around. That's what everything's doing.
Yeah.
The dying networks still have 26 episodes, or 24 or 22. So it's like, what is all this? And it's taken the quality of the writing and how do you make Star Trek look through a serial lens was a rough job. That's part of the well-oiled machine figuring itself out. It wasn't just oiling the machine again. It was ordering all new parts on a new chassis and a new body, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the same is true of the...
And that's getting better, but it's still going to be an issue of all of these, both the internal exploration is kind of radically different tone, and the structure of the storytelling is erratic. So in 10, 20 years, what are we going to look back at these? Are we going to look at these the way people still affectionately look at, well, I say the original series. There's increasingly amounts of people who can't see the original series for the trees of time.
I can't see it, Jim. The one regret I have about Life Support Live, this version of Life Support Live, Larry, I only have one regret.
All the Saturday mornings you lost?
No, I only have one regret.
Yes.
It's that I did not get Larry to do a watch along from the Kelvin timeline. That is my one regret here. Because I always, as Jarrod has the drinking game here, he likes to share about Life Support Live, and one of those is have a drink when Ollie brings up the Kelvin timeline, right? Mm-hmm. So folks, have a drink because I'm bringing up the Kelvin timeline. I would say the same is true of the Kelvin films. I think there's a lot of love for Star Trek Beyond. A lot of love. And Star Trek Beyond was also a celebration of the 50th anniversary of Star Trek.
By happenstance, yes.
By happenstance, much like this episode is in person, all these happenstances.
This is very much happenstance.
The writers, Simon Pegg as well as...
Justin Lin was the director.
Justin Lin was the director. I'm blanking on the other...
His writing partner, right. Simon Pegg's writing partner.
Who appears in the film.
As Sulu's husband.
As Sulu's husband. I'm blanking on his name right now. They describe this process.
I assume they're married and not just, living in sin.
The thing about the writing process, they locked themselves up, watched TOS, thought of ideas, like what can we do? That process,
very short process. It was very
rushed. They had to turn it out really quickly.
They were the second choice.
Star Trek Beyond really felt like a fun Star Trek story, and it worked as a movie. It worked as a Star Trek story. It worked, mm-hmm. And as much as people were really divided about 2009. And the changes in the Kelvin timeline and all of that sort of stuff. I say this as, my USS Kelvin is right over there. I love the film. I love 2009. And as divided as people are about Into Darkness and its retreading of Khan and all that sort of stuff, I think Star Trek Beyond...
It wasn't really Khan. Didn't you read his earlier... Always believe the first press conferences. Always really believe the first...
John Harrison...
Wasn't he a president or something?
It was. That was. Star Trek Beyond really felt like, okay, if this is the direction they're going with Kelvin timeline, this is really great. and it's fun, it's interesting, all that sort of stuff. It took them a while to figure out what to do with that film franchise, and then I know there hasn't been a number 4. Maybe there will be one. Who knows?
Well, it's fine.
But it takes Star Trek a while to figure itself out.
Mm-hmm.
And like you were saying, building this new machine, I will argue that no series, with the exception of the original series, the animated series, and Lower Decks, really figured itself out season 1.
Well, there was no the animated series there was no figuring.
No,
I mean, let's animate as much as we can do an original field
as cheaply as we can, using as few actors as possible. James Doohan, how many characters can you play?
He's a voice actor. He can do accents. It's fine. And let Walter write a show.
Yeah.
The Retlaw plant. Yeah.
No Star Trek minus those has figured itself out season 1.
If Walter had been a paid cast member through the whole season through the season and a fourth of the animated series, we might never have had the 50-foot Vulcan Spock hanging in the collector's ship on Lower Decks as an Easter egg. So look, let's acknowledge a trade-off. Walter Koenig wrote Infinite Vulcan, which had the 50-foot Spock, which was lampooned on Lower Decks in the collector's ship. Anyway, mental health.
Mental health. Let's. I think there's a big
transition.
A big thing we should also talk here. JR says no series goes unpunished by fandom, and then
no good series goes unpunished by fandom.
And then Cairo said here, Cairo on Twitch, who's been our strongest Twitcher of Life Support
holding
Live.
down the Switch corner, the Switch turf.
Cairo says, the main gripe I have with the finale was bringing partisan politics into Star Trek. That said, I fortunately only realized that after viewing it. Viewing it completely would have taken me out of the story. So this is really the cameo, which I don't want to ruin the cameo for people who haven't seen it.
Yeah,
because it's a big one. I've got a lot of thoughts about this. Let me share first because I just sprung this on you. But so we've had a ton of cameos in Star Trek before. We've had astronauts. We've had real life geniuses, scientific geniuses. Yes. Stephen Hawking, the great Stephen Hawking.
We've had soldiers, sailors.
We've had kings.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a lot of people.
Crown princes who would later be kings.
Yeah. Yes. What we haven't had is a active politician. Not to my knowledge, not someone who is running for office, and we certainly haven't had an active politician cast in a role of a politician in Star Trek. But here's what I'm going to say about that. Is I thought it was well done, and unfortunately in 2022 we live in a world where, at least again, Larry and I are doing this from California in the United States, American politics has politicized science.
Mm-hmm.
If you are on the side of vaccines, which are name dropped in this week's Picard,
mm-hmm.
they mention vaccines, which I think is a little bit of saying like, "Hey, we're all pro-vaccines here in Star Trek in the 24th century." If you're on the side of vaccines, of face masks, of climate science, your politics become pretty clear in the United States. Unfortunately, science in the 90s, climate science became a politically polarized topic. Mm-hmm. It wasn't before. It was a bipartisan topic. We've seen that with COVID. COVID has become a partisan topic. Vaccines have become a partisan issue. So unfortunately, a lot of the things that Star Trek stands for, from IDIC, from scientific research, from these really big ideas.
Rationality based on empirical theory and experimentation and fact gathering and evolution of theories as more facts are gathered.
Unfortunately, that is a political partisan issue, and Star Trek's always been political going back to the 60s. Again, A Private Little War, one of my favorite episodes, was about the Vietnam War at the height of the Vietnam War.
Now, I see a lot of people say,
yeah,
well, that was metaphor. It was metaphor. It wasn't on the nose. It was metaphor.
It wasn't bonk bonk on the head.
It wasn't bonk bonk on the head.
Bonk bonk on the head.
And part of that is because it was going multi-level. Like, I had to see Private Little War 2 or 3 times as a teenager, before I went, oh, that was about Vietnam. That was totally about Vietnam. But it was metaphorical until you get the speech where McCoy and Kirk, you're talking, and he says, Bones, do you remember the Bush Wars, the 20th century? I mean, they go back, and once again, it's what I always loved about Star Trek. It's not another galaxy far, far away. It's us in the future, and that historical time thread. It's the same thing as it's Doomsday Machine too. Bones, do you remember? You ever heard of a doomsday weapon, doomsday machine? No, I'm a doctor, not a engineer, whichever it was then. No, it's not engineer. But they go back to that. You say, well, they're metaphorical stories, but then they go, remember back in our ancient history when we were too stupid to know better? And everything in history is couched as, remember how we had that horrible time and we learned from it? And that's so people
like the
that
Bell
say,
Riots.
well, it's like, the Bell Riot. Oh my God, the Bell Riots. And hello, Picard, season 2. But people that say, well, they're just metaphorical examples, forget that in the middle of the metaphor was the time when they stood around and talked about the exact thing. But they were safe to. Well, Vietnam wasn't. The atomic, the Cold War and the nuclear capacity, which reared its head up here. The
nuclear capacity sounds like that's a great episode title for the original series.
Thank you.
Yeah, that would be the original title, original series title. The Star Trek Discovery title would be "For the Atom is Split and Unleashed is Pain." That would be the Discovery chat. No.
The Discovery title would be "Splitting Atoms."
Splitting. The Enterprise title for that would be
Fission.
Yeah.
There was a fusion already, I think.
DS9 would go Shakespearean. It would say, gosh, what would be the Shakespearean title for that?
Explosions brighter than daybreak? Or, I don't know.
Anyways, I totally took us off on a tangent.
3rd season, Next Generation would be The Bomb.
The Bomb. Yeah. So I think you and I are on the same page with this. I think this is the modern iteration of what Star Trek has always been doing. It's always been doing this.
So that's why the greatest hope here is not even Lower Decks, but Prodigy. Just keep those kids learning how to work together and look past their differences. Because, Matt, we're stronger with you than without you. Yeah. What are we doing? Okay, I feel like we're not looking at our chatters.
We have. I've been posting a lot here. And one of the things
the normal theory of I'll go off on a rant, and while I'm ranting, then he gets to look and keep up on the chat.
Yeah,
that's kind of out the window today.
It's a little harder with all the stuff going on,
all the distractions, like you right here.
But a lot of our global audience, the global lifers, have said that they had no idea who this cameo.
Well, that's been interesting. I saw a lot of reaction that way,
but that's fine.
It's fine.
It doesn't matter,
and it's like a good bet. It's like us being global right now on our little wacky dinky tech here, much less big time studio Trek going around the world. It's like I've seen. I totally got the anger and disappointment and frustration with the whole fiasco of how the Paramount Plus rollout was handled vis-a-vis Discovery, right? They're out promoting Discovery around the world, and then 2 days before premiere, they yank it because they're not thinking.
Oh my gosh, I forgot.
We had a kerfuffle.
Yeah, that was horrible.
I knew that was happening and saw it and immediately felt for all of my friends and all our Treklanders, all our Portales around the world, our lifers, our TTLers, all of my community around the world.
Yeah.
But so many American fans had no clue. They were humping along, yay. And then, they're all just butthurt about it. I'm like, no, whoa. That's a third of the audience. So it's almost like flipped on that, though. And I've seen a third of Star Trek's audience, all our global friends, all saying, well, why were we supposed to know? That's a cameo. And it's where I wanted to go, it's very global. but it's still an American show made for an American audience, and it's not the 60s. It's sure not the 60s, and it's sure not even the 80s and 90s. It's very much globalized, but I'm still kind of, I mean, I don't want to say I'm amused and kind of bewildered, but I guess it's from wherever you are is where you are. But sitting here, the last thing I expected was to hear the world rise up and say, well, how are we supposed to know who she was? It's a camera.
And
it's like, well,
it doesn't
because
matter.
if they'd plunked in somebody from Argentina who was I don't know, and popped in there, it would have been a novelty.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's still broadcasting and commerce. I
think it's
But it was an interesting wrinkle.
I don't think your knowledge of who this who this person is playing this role, it doesn't really matter, because you can zoom out and look at the larger meaning of the scene,
right?
And what is happening in the scene, and this point of transition for Star Trek Discovery and for Michael Burnham, and what it means for her moving forward, and what it means for this crew, and that's all just fine. I think there's so many Star Trek cameos that I missed. Who was it that played the in Star Trek Deep Space Nine? Who's the Rock? The Rock is a cameo also from Star Trek Voyager. His first starring role, his first acting role,
his first credited performance.
Yeah. But there
not
was
all the times he performed on the wrestling stage.
There was someone from a band who was in.
Nick Fleetwood. Mick Fleetwood was an Antedian. The Fish People.
No, I'm thinking DS9.
Somebody's going to pop it in. Rock icon that Ira had come in.
Yes.
And he was a Vorta.
Yes.
And people are going to scream at me that I can't remember who it was.
Yeah. Someone's gonna have it, but like there's all these cameos that I was never aware of.
He's the Vorta who's kidnapped and shot.
Iggy Pop.
Iggy Pop. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. There was just a flood of people telling us about this. Thank you, everyone.
Weekend at the DS9 cave set, like Weekend at Bernie's.
So
prop up the fake.
Yeah, oh my gosh, so many people are like Iggy Pop.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Forgive me, there's a pandemic on.
So there's all these cameos that it never took away from the episode, not knowing.
Right.
As long as it's done well.
Well, I've heard. I think even Robert said. I think Cairo said. He watched the show and then found out later on. That was supposed to be somebody.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. I think that the scene works in the thing it's in. So
there was a 2-part Next Generation episode. I think 5th season.
Yeah. Where
there was a big build up, and they had a guest actor come in and played this role, and I kept trying to remember who it was. It was Leonard Nimoy. Came in and played a role.
I've heard of him.
And some people didn't.
Yeah. Oh, from Mission Impossible.
Right.
Yeah.
They went, wow, he was Paris. We should reuse that name in a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We really need a Robbie Duncan McNeil type in this role.
Of hosting this show?
Yeah.
He's doing that now.
But not as himself.
No,
he needs to,
no.
Yeah, we'll have to recast him.
We have to come up with another city in Europe for a last name.
So
Locarno, Paris.
What I will say, again, I don't want to spoil the cameo for those who haven't seen it. I will say what's great is they reached out to this individual and asked them, would you like to be in this role? And the person said, yes, as long as it doesn't spoil the season for me, because I want to watch along just like everyone else.
How insane is that? Is you get a bit in anything, and you're like, I just want to see my pages.
Yeah.
I don't want to, because I'm enough of a fan that I don't want to know the...
I love it. For that reason enough, I love the cameo. Okay, Larry, before we get into our next segment here...
We have segments?
We're in the first one still.
It's nothing new.
I want to ask you... And then I will ask myself, what do you want to see from Star Trek over the next few years? where do you want to see things go? What would you like to see more of? What would you like to see less of? And I want to ask you too. Let us know in the comments what you want to see
or the
more
comments,
of. Or the comments,
wherever your comments are.
Yeah, they're probably not up here. I don't think any service has them up top.
No.
Twitch
no.
has them. Facebook,
Mm-hmm,
YouTube.
mm-hmm.
Or you might be on mobile, where I don't know where the comments are. Anyways, Larry, what do you want to see?
I want to see. I miss the world building. It's not just culture porn. I mean, I would like to see some of the planets and cultures and societies fleshed out, both the new ones and our members.
Yep.
But along the way, we'll have a little fun along the way. No, along the way, you can still do metaphorical stories. You can still explore personal conditions. You can still do themes from modern day. You can still do good old Star Trek, theme issue analogy stories. I don't want to. I still don't understand. I've had this conversation with so many folks. I think Discovery will go down also as the representation Star Trek, and that's wonderful.
Both in front and behind the camera.
Both in front and behind the camera. But I don't understand why. And maybe this is a COVID layer. Maybe this is individual careers, and maybe it's only 10 episodes, so we get hyper focused on those 10 when they're dragged out over shooting for 9 months because of COVID. But so much that was built up in Discovery then went away or was backed away from. So I think you can have all of that. I just want to. What are we here? Number 2. I just want to number 2 use the universe.
Yeah.
It's not fan service to go in and dig into, and Picard's. I mean, Lower Decks does that incredibly well. Picard's doing it, but I just wish they would flesh out the world as they tell personal stories, and in the good old Star Trek tradition. I think a lot of that's been because everybody is so into serial storytelling that they're trying to juggle, character building, world building, and the story structure.
Yeah,
I think it's been and I think a lot of people come over from series where they've been doing serial story structure for ages, but it's what does Star Trek look like? Star Trek isn't like any other series.
No.
And it has a huge audience to serve. And sometimes that audience is busy looking through rose-colored glasses and might not remember all it's texture, not trivia also. But at the same time, I think it's been a rough road getting from there to here.
It's been a long, rough road.
Yeah. But that's what I want to see. I want to see just getting in and use the universe and flesh out the races. We've had a lot of ships now on Picard. So the ship porn folks, all the tech heads, they're loving all that. And there's a lot of philosophical things behind something as old as Star Trek that appeals to so many people, and they get a little hurt and frustrated when their favorite part of Star Trek isn't as well developed as they might remember it being in the past.
Larry, well,
and can we just have the Romulan War? Can we just have the Romulan War and
all I want for Christmas is Romulan War
and the founding of the Federation? Can we just please have a canon on film version of that?
Well, the ship has sailed on the founding of the Federation. It got founded, but I've got faith.
And was Station Salem 1 part of that or not? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. You are not going to find that out.
And I want a series halfway between Kirk and Picard. Can we do that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And can we have the Captain April show? Can we have Captain April and Dr. Sarah, his wife, launching the first? Can we have that show?
Okay, you have a very long list of shows you want to see happen.
I've had it since 1987 in my back pocket.
Paramount Plus is just greenlighting Star Trek shows at this point. You got a pitch? Does it have Star Trek in the title? Here's $20 million. Go write the first
And you
episode.
got a sold pitch. And you got a sold pitch. And you got a sold pitch. Yeah.
So what I want to see is
this is going to be some,
my
hardy-wardy, brainy-wainy thing.
What I want?
Yes.
I don't know if it's hardy-wardy, brainy-wainy. It might be a little wibbly-wobbly.
I just trademarked that.
Put that on a sticker and sell it. What I do want is I want a lot more experimentation. And I want smaller budget experimentation.
Even more. Oh, what do you mean by that? I started to say even more experimentation? They got an AR wall now. What more do you want?
Yeah, the AR wall. Yeah, which God, the lighting is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And when it was reflecting on
Every
the
time-
actors' faces.
Every time they walk out, it's not no one in history of Star Trek walks out on a shuttle bay and stares out the door, but they do on Discovery now. It's like, put the wall out there and we'll walk out here because it's the heroic. And everybody, it's like it was protocol. I guess.
The 10C are so big.
Oh, can
They're
I just say?
bigger than the view screen.
Can I just say?
Please.
The most disappointing thing to me about the finale, and this
Yeah.
is not a spoiler,
Yeah.
is nowhere in the final eventual actual contact did one of the 10C finally say, oh, by the way, we're called the Dweeby Bops.
Oh.
It's like 10C is their filler designation. And now we're going to go through, it's like calling the Nassim character the caretaker.
I mean,
30 years later, what did the caretaker do? What was good? You know that was a Nassim.
Yeah.
His species was called a Nassim.
The
annoyed
it's a
me.
little species 8472.
Yeah.
8472.
Which was never given a name. The STO gave it the Undine.
Yeah.
Undine.
Yeah.
But that wasn't filmed. But yeah, that was annoying to me. And all this contact and communication, and we understand you. It's kind of like, what do they always say? Do you have a name, little alien girl?
In defense of 10C, the humans don't name themselves. They don't say we're humans. Well, I'm not human. I'm partially Cardassian. I'm the president. Well, I'm not human.
And Bajoran.
And Bajoran, and I'm not human, but I'm.
That's true, but they were they were a collection of cultures, which was part of the lesson.
I was about to say I'm Quajon Ogla. I was about to say that. I did it.
Thank God you didn't say it.
Yeah, that would have been
That would have been horrible. Yeah.
So here's what I want, Larry. I want experimentation on formats.
Even worse would have been the Quajon Nistrum.
The Nistrum has nothing on the Ogla. See, the Ogla are great because they've taken even less frequent baths, and so they
just back out of that pilot door slowly.
Beep beep beep. Does a starship beep when it backs up in space dock? Are there beeps?
It does, but no one can hear it
because of the vacuum of space. Yeah. Thank you, 2009 Star Trek, for showing us that. I love the vacuum of space moment there. What I want, smaller budget experimentation on formats. So what is the one show that you and I have always agreed on that they should make next? Do you know this? We have mentioned this on many Life Support Lives. Let's see how well Larry knows me, or us. What's the show that we always talk about?
The Kelvin version of Tapestry.
No.
What is the show we always talk about?
The West Wing.
Oh. I didn't know you were
Council.
in my corner with that. Yeah.
I'm 100% in the corner. It'll be smaller budget. It'll be much more script focused.
Unless you don't want it to be.
Yeah, I mean, sure. It can be smaller budget is what I'm saying. And it's going to be much more about dialogue and politics and that kind of stuff.
Until you don't want it to be.
Sure. I mean, you can Game of Thrones it if you want.
No, I'm saying is do it like, I'm thinking, well, UN too, but like American federal government or any government.
Yeah.
You've got the base, and you've got Star Trek West Wing where you've got all the different races and members are there in San Francisco or maybe Paris, whatever.
Yeah.
And yes, you can go off, let's show some bases that aren't on Earth. But the main thing is whenever you need to jump off, there can be a disaster. There can be a military tension among members or members and externally. Yeah. And you can jump into ships and go have some space battle porn if you want to. Yeah. You can have disaster, have scientific whatever.
You can follow the council members back to their planet and the polity. Yeah,
and you can do family stuff.
What I think would be really cool about that series is it would be so focused on relationships and politics and drama and suspense in a way that Picard and Discovery, these flagship shows and soon to be Strange New Worlds, they're very expensive. And there's a lot of action, and they look gorgeous. Don't get me wrong.
Or they're expensive because there is no action, because we can only have two people in a scene.
Right. Yeah,
and we have to slow it down. Yeah.
What I really want to see is I want to see a Star Trek series that doesn't feel like it needs to spend all this money on itself. You know, I'd like to see something that is leading much more with
in a
with the
Star Trek
scripts.
West Wing, you would spend your makeup budget would be higher than your visual effects budget.
That's true. But I think makeup.
If you're really trying to do 15, 20 different alien representatives from different species.
But you don't have to build as many sets. Like I think about TNG, DS9, Voyager, that era, and some of the best episodes were these. What are they called? Bottle
shows.
Yeah. Bottle shows where it's just on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that as much with Discovery or Picard. They're spending a lot more money on this, and I'd like for them to have a little bit more restraints on this. That's kind of what I want to see next.
Okay.
But our community here, Kimber says, I really want more DS9 actors brought back. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Give us some more. Seven has been such a wonderful part of Picard. Where, evoking a little bit of Libby, where's Rom?
And Libby's not with us today.
No, she's not.
Yes,
so we need to evoke the Ferengi here.
We need to get some Rom in, yeah.
Where's Rom? Where's Quark? Quark keeps getting evoked, but doesn't appear.
Not in the... Yeah.
Give us Quark.
Mm-hmm.
Bring Armin back. We're getting a lot of seconded for having more DS9 on the show. And Zahir says, I'd like to see stuff that happens in Picard reflected in Discovery, thematically as well as Easter eggs. We've seen the other way around. We've seen Picard reflected in... Wait, no, we have seen that. We've seen that technology, the synth technology, is reflected. Maybe Zahir wants a little bit more of a direct connection there. But it is many hundred years. That's going to be hard.
Oh, look, there's Melissa with us.
Yes.
Hey, Melissa.
She's been active throughout the chat today. And okay, Nathaniel, also one of our old timers here. I'd like Trek to stop limiting itself to season-long stories. Let them evolve organically, and let the character and the characters
let them eat cake over 2 seasons,
which is what we're going to see in Strange New Worlds. We'll hopefully get a lot more.
I have the secret papers right here.
Yeah, we've read all the scripts.
Yeah,
it's great, you guys. You're going to enjoy it. But Strange New Worlds is a nice example of experimentation. It was never part of the plan.
Well, yes, it was not part of the plan, and the joke that in the
I don't know the joke.
The initial stages of Discovery, when people were complaining about not having standalone shows and the arcs and all that, and the heavy serialized arc storytelling, not just running arcs like, oh, Worf is discommendated for a while, and oh, Odo's now a solid until he goes. We've had arcs before, but that's it's the set up the surprise and then jerk it away, set up the surprise and jerk it away, and all the character work just kind of suffers for that. But that was a learning process. But you've changed the comment now, and I can't remember what it was.
It's gone. It's gone forever.
Okay, I was going to make a point there, but I forgot what it was.
Well, don't make too sharp of a point. JR says, you two are too funny. I have to be careful because I'm eating sharp tortilla chips. And I already poked the roof of my mouth laughing. Does someone have a dermal regenerator? We need to get it to JR here.
An oral dermal regenerator.
Yeah. So one of the things I was going to say about that, Larry, is O'Brien in DS9. I mean, talk about a character going through stuff and then never seeing it again in the future. Star Trek struggled with this balance of standalone and then impacting the longer term.
Oh, that's what it, right.
O'Brien was imprisoned for years and years and years in his mind, and then never do we see the consequences of that. He's just fine playing darts next
Picard. It just adds on his trauma pile. Oh yeah, and on top of everything else, I lived another life for 30 years in half an hour.
His trauma pile. What's bigger, his trauma pile or his pile of packs?
I think that's I think we just created another major term. Your trauma pile.
We should add.
Throw that on my trauma pile.
Zahir says, "I really want to see a Cisco."
It's a new TP.
Ooh, this is a good one. I really want to see a Cisco confront Picard and come to terms with the trauma of losing Jennifer, Ben, Jake, Grandpa, Joe, whoever. That's great. We're never going to see it.
No.
Avery Brooks
No.
is not. They're not going to be able to get it back. But
He could yell at a hologram,
Yeah.
Avery, and they could just repurpose the dialogue or something.
oh man,
Excuse me, a hologram Cisco.
We have met before, sir, in battle. Gosh.
The only person to.
Cairo says, yes, please use the. Hey, he's responding. He's picking up what you put down, Larry. Please use the universe. Please don't go back to the characters again that have been well fleshed out already. Let's have new stuff that uses the universe. Maybe flesh out less developed characters. Number 1, Uhura. Rain Robinson.
The first two are apparently on the horizon.
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah. Is there a event on that horizon too?
There is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Just I can't wait to get sucked in.
Yeah. And we have Melissa says, I don't think you have to lose the world building and serial storytelling. DS9 did that beautifully. It did.
Yes.
There was a little bit more time. It moves slower when you go on these other planets. I think that's the problem with...
But see, ironically, DS9 is the first one that got everybody saying... And DS9 was on crappy stations because it was still syndicated, so it wasn't even on...
Oh, I thought you meant like the space station was crappy, which
No.
it also was.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was part of its charm. But
I just watched Dr. Bashir, I presume, too, last night. And then Zimmerman says, why don't you have an EMH here? And Cisco's like, this station's full of Cardassian tech. We can't get anything to work here. But sorry, you were saying about...
what was I saying?
Crappy stations.
Crappy stations.
DS9 was on crappy stations.
I forgot it. So you keep going by. It was...
Yeah, I'm trying to keep up here. I don't think you have to lose the world building in serial storytelling.
What I was saying was that people... DS9's situation, the distribution model of DS9 was it would get bumped to 2 and 3 in the morning if the hockey game or the basketball game of a market station that was like the 5th or 6th station, and it was the one with the team, and they would knock it around. And if people gave up, people who weren't taping, or even people who were taping, said, "Oh my God, I lost 2 weeks in a row. I'm hopelessly behind."
Yeah.
In the paradigm of being an audience and a consumer of TV, you couldn't follow, which today is laughable. But that wasn't.
JRR24 says, I'd like to see a Klingon or Worf series. This has been Jarrod, another one of our longtime lifers here, and also one of our moderators, helps us out with the production here. One of the things he said is, when are we going to see an alien captain?
The Zoomy Chatty thing.
Yeah, and he does the Zoomy Chatties. Are we ever going to see an alien-led series?
An alien-led series. Yeah, we've had plenty of alien
or an
captains.
alien-led, like captain-led series. I don't know. I mean, it gets back to the West Wing problem is makeup.
Right. It'll be a makeup. Yeah, they'll have to the first thing they'll factor in is we're going to do him or her or they every week in that, how elaborate, how crazy is it?
Yeah.
Is it Bajoran or is it Klingon, Cardassian, whatever?
Even the Star Wars shows are not necessarily alien-led, maybe with the exception of Ahsoka on the horizon. But
Mandalorian, wear a helmet. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Took care of that one.
Yeah. That was brilliant. Mm-hmm. What should we do for our first live action show?
Put
the guy in a tin can. We'll save a lot of money on the makeup there.
Then we have an animatronic or CGI little guy. So.
Yeah. Whoops! There goes all of our budget.
Mm-hmm.
Zahir says, I'd like to see more reasons why I should care about Rios, Girardi, Elnor, etc. I just got a bit of that in the last Star Trek Picard. Star Trek Picard.
Rios, that library he had. Wow. Okay. His depressive philosophy library.
When do we see that?
In first season. He's always reading.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
The philosophy of depressive thinking, or whatever it was he was.
Yeah. I think we're beginning. I've really enjoyed season 2 so far, Mon Capitan, and I think we'll get more of that, Zahir. I think we're gonna get more of that because we didn't have too much of that in season 1.
Again, the story was pushing the characters.
Jim says a Law and Order type Starbase show.
Chung chung.
It would be more like chirp 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 chirp. Nathaniel says, what I tend to prefer about DS9 serial-style storytelling is that stories weren't crammed into an arbitrary number of seasons. Ira had said that he would be disappointed if a season ended where he planned at the beginning. It showed a lack of evolution. So it was more organic.
Well, right. Well, the opposite of now we have this joke with Picard and Discovery, and hopefully Strange New Worlds will break this, where it's like, okay,
a strange new world, a fantastic bridge,
a whole
for
new
you,
plot for you and me
and
to doom us.
How have we not done that song yet?
I don't know. And how everyone's wondering, and why did you?
I can show you a show.
I can show you
Shining,
a quadrant.
shimmering, splendid.
So my point is...
Tell me, Larry, now when did you last go warp factor 9?
Or 10? I thought you were going to go to 10. Okay.
You'll be everywhere in the universe. And then turn into Salamander. You were going to say?
My point was going to be if I can cling on to it. God, I can't.
Klingon!
I don't even think I can now. See,
You
plus
can boldly go.
whatever it was I was going to answer.
It was about the organic creation of seasons.
Oh yeah. This thing about now you sit down to watch a Star Trek and it's like, okay, it's the season opener and they're going to set up the thing that they're going to drag out for 10 shows. And then the ending finale. It's like, but that's also what happens. I get really annoyed with a couple of other shows we started to watch. And they just fall into that, and they don't even do season. If they're like, this was one of them was The Blacklist, and it was a full season, but they might as well they made a big thing out of having 2 half seasons, and each arc was like the villain, the arc, the mystery was like starts in number 1, it ends in number 12, and a new one starts in 13 and ends in 24. You know, it's like everything is just like this, where it's so predictable and. You think, okay, well, I'm going to watch the season finale, and all I'll get is an ending. There's rarely even any setup for, even though it's the exact opposite of the old cliffhanger where you went along story, cliffhanger, keep you coming back after summer break, and then story. It's the exact opposite of that, but still having one of those was kind of fun over a season, but. This where the storytelling is so yes, if they would ease and ooze in and out of like DS9 did that, and the other series did too, but DS9 did arcs, but they weren't lined up in this template that was like just punched out. But that's all, and people could come and go, writers could come and go, and it didn't ruin we have to end this season because, even to the point where if say an actress like when they were getting rid of Terry Farrell on DS9, and they killed her off at the end of a season. But even on Voyager, Jerry Taylor fought for him. Here's a mini K3. The network wanted Kes to be gone, and there was no story about what happened to Kes. Mm-hmm. Even as 7 of 9 is brought in the cliffhanger, and the arc carries over, they were just going to write her like an old school, Adam, Cartwright on Bonanza. He went into town for some supplies.
Bonanza?
We'll never see him again. No explanation.
Yeah.
But Jerry Taylor said, no, we're going to give Kes a fitting end. And she came back for 2 episodes, and they wrote her out, with an ending. She didn't just disappear as a machination of how TV works.
Yeah.
So I think, I wish the writing and the arc plotting would follow.
Yeah, what's annoying to me about
season finale, that's wrapped up.
Yeah, what I'm kind of annoyed by.
Come back next year and we'll open up a whole new box of arcs.
Yeah. One of the things that annoys me
Oh, it's my favorite arc. Thanks, Mom. Okay.
This season of Discovery started, and you knew, well, this is not really going to be resolved till episode 12 or 13. And that was the same of the previous season, which was the same of the season before that. And again, like, not to toot old Trek's horn too much, but there were really big surprises that was sprinkled along.
Yeah, the idea is that you'll have some actual surprises that don't make it so bare boned.
Yeah, TNG wouldn't drop these big surprises, but there were big episodes that would happen.
There were landmark shows.
Yeah,
right.
I think Chain of Command is a really good example. It was a 2-parter. Picard is no longer in command of the Enterprise. Yeah.
We don't have sweep shows anymore.
No, we don't.
We don't have Nielsen, so the October, November, and the February and April shows aren't a big deal.
That doesn't happen, and so like the big moments are all saved for the end of the season. But if we look at Chain of Command TNG, if we look at Dr. Bashir, I presume. No, not Dr. Bashir, I presume. What's the episode where it's revealed his genetic engineering is revealed? Is it?
That's it. Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Bashir, I presume. Major drop for Julian Bashir, the character, as well as genetic engineering. Khan is evoked in that, and I know there's some retconning that happens. But that's a huge episode, and it happened just in the middle of the series. You had no idea. You thought this was just going to be a Robert Picardo cameo episode. No, this is a landmark episode.
They tricked you.
They tricked me.
Oh, spoilers.
Yeah. And then over here, Scott says, I think season 4 of Enterprise got it right. Building theme over the season, but you got epic storylines and satisfying payoffs every few episodes. I want to be surprised more. I don't want a new mystery to be revealed episode 1, and then I'm like, well, I know I'm waiting till episode 12 or 13 for the payoff here. That makes it predictable.
Hello and welcome to Mystery Solving Step 7.
I also want to say, Jarrod's got an interesting view here too. I'm going to go out of the box and say the best thing to come out of the new era so far is Will Wheaton in the Ready Room. I wish the show existed in the 90s. And one of the things that I think is cool here about modern Star Trek is on the mirror universe side of this is all the fan outrage and criticisms and all that sort of stuff. The more optimistic side of this is we have things like Ready Room, we have Life Support Live.
Well,
we have all these podcasts.
We have social media is driving the market and its competition. So all the network, and it's a new technology. Still, streaming is still new to people. So there's a lot of marketing and there's a lot of promoting that has to be done on a practical way. And part of that is for now, but also 20 and 30 and 40 years from now, the documenting that they're doing now is so way beyond, in the past, documenting was something, we've invented DVDs now, and we want to sit down and have people talk about something that happened 30 and 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that they're like robbing jobs from people. But the network, the studio is taking a bigger role in like, let's film all this and get it out there. Because for one thing, they need 30-second, 60-second clips for social media.
Yeah.
They do little packages for the Ready Room and all that. And they're thinking about DVDs and all that too. But you know that there's tons of footage, interviewing and B-roll, behind the scenes, just generic footage that's just being put back in the vaults because they know when the new premiere edition of the HT 4000 Pink Ray Hollow version of these episodes comes out, they'll need even more new bonus material for that.
Yeah.
And anyway, but they're doing a magnificent job of documenting and recording, and some of it's putting out in real time, like the Ready Room.
Yeah.
And just follow your social channels and that, and the individual creators that I always. Dave Blass on Picard and all the art team, names and new names you don't know yet, and a lot of the team on Lower Decks and Prodigy. I can't want to say Piccadilly. I don't know.
The other thing, I don't think anyone's mentioned this yet, or if someone has, please let me know because I want to give you credit here. The media vertical family synergy is reunited. CBS and Paramount are back together.
Oh, yeah.
And
reconciliation.
Reunification.
Yes.
Part 2.
The divorce settlement. Yeah.
Yeah. It has happened. And so what this allows, and we got a glimpse of this in season 3 of Star Trek Discovery when the Kelvin timeline was really acknowledged in the Prime timeline. What's possible now is more crossover between films, between TV. So, golly, it would be nice to see that happen again. We had that in the 90s. Robert Picardo appeared in Voyager.
Well, Trek was doing it before anybody knew what the term was.
Yeah, we had a shared universe way before the MCU. Robert Picardo was in Voyager, on DS9, and in Star Trek First Contact. We have, like, in a matter of years, it's built a cohesive, interesting universe where all these events, all the films, Khan again being original series character who was then in movies and then also referenced in DS9. Like you can do these kind of things because you have this big sandbox. Well, the sandbox is big again. The prohibitions against film and TV are gone. Boy, it would be nice to see that play out. There's so much Star Trek in development on TV. Can we get some larger storytelling happening? That would be really cool.
Have you been like reading my old speeches from the 90s?
Yes, I have. It's how I go to
exactly.
sleep every night. It always puts
and it
me
started
right
with
to bed.
Enterprise. It started with Enterprise, and I'll soapbox again here. I loved all the people, bless their hearts, who hated Enterprise, not because of the quality of the writing, no, who hated Enterprise because it was going backwards, not forward.
Sure. Yeah, the prequel.
The prequel thing?
No more prequels.
And I'm like, excuse me, this is right. Did I mention I wanted to see a founding of the Federation? Yeah.
Yes. And Romulan War.
There's what you just said about the sandbox is the metaphor I've used. There's this huge... This isn't next gen where people couldn't get... They didn't understand that Star Trek wasn't Kirk, Spock, McCoy in the 2260s. It was this whole universe, and Next Generation was like a second point or a third point in the plane. Or 4 points to makes a cube, right?
You think it's such three-dimensional terms, Larry.
Fortunate. I feel like leaning over and looking at a Franz Josef Schnabel playing on a monitor. Dun 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 dun. Okay, Wrath of Khan. No, two-dimensional thinking. Okay.
Oh, it's great. We can do this all day. The Genesis Countdown is the greatest 7 minutes of Star Trek music in the entire franchise.
Okay.
That track.
You could start a whole new podcast just debating that every week. And believe me, if you don't, somebody will. Well, I'm blown out of the water what I was trying to say.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
Let's go back to the chat.
Who
is this guy?
We were talking about. I was about to say this would have been embarrassing. We were talking about how Star Trek and Star Wars came together again as one family. No, CBS and Paramount. We were talking about the opportunities there.
Yeah. But with the modern... Oh, I was saying years ago, I want the Enterprise. We were talking about prequel people. And I said, shut up, this is exactly what I wanted. I was in shock that they did it. Because I thought it would be such an investment in all the hardware, all the costumes and props and sets and all of that to go chuck all that and go boldly into that was amazing. They didn't
Don't go boldly into the night.
Don't go boldly to try to change me. Okay.
Charlotte says,
you do know that
clearly caffeinated.
You do know that a chunk of our audience may go on to the thing coming up at the top of the hour.
You know, our audience has stuck with us.
Okay.
Folks are here to win it. And yes, Charlotte, I am fully caffeinated. I even got Larry an extra caffeine beverage for this morning.
Yeah. I'm not trying to hit it too much, unlike some people I know, but yeah.
I think we've done this segment justice, Larry. Let's jump into segment 2.
Is that what you call it? Justice.
Let's jump into segment 2.
Jog around half naked at Tillman Garden? Okay.
Let's look back at our 88 episodes of Life Support Live, Larry. So
you did some research for this.
I did do some research.
These academics, you can't stop them.
So one of the things that Kimber says French presses love. French presses are the best because it's so easy to clean. I don't need a new filter and I like the metal ones, not the glass ones. I had 2 glass ones. They broke on me. Why am I talking about this?
Stop the presses. Okay.
See what he did there? Mm-hmm. I like that. Mm-hmm. I like that. Okay. Dave says, "Holy cow, love that press, Ollie." It's big. Yeah. I mean, it's big, but I drink it all. I drink it all up.
This explains much. Okay.
Yeah. So we wanted to look back at our 88 episodes, and
Because no one else is.
but a lot has changed, Larry.
Yes.
We started this in April 2020 when much of the world was going into a lockdown phase.
And going into shock.
Into shock. Talk about trauma. Trauma was the year of 2020.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
And arguing about it all the way.
Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to actually look back at our community, and I wanted to share how things have evolved with our community, with our thinking about the pandemic, as well as our thinking towards Star Trek.
Okay. And this is where Paul Schaefer plays a little intro thing, or whoever the current band leaders are. Okay.
Paul Schaefer. So what I did, folks, is I went back.
Looking back.
To look forward.
Your shows were your ticket out. Okay.
So what I did, folks, is I went back to all of our episodes and highlighted some of the best comments from you all, our community, for each of those episodes. And Larry, doing this, we covered a lot of different themes.
Yes, we did.
How did we do this?
Far more than the drinking game would ever lead you to imagine. Yeah.
Far beyond the stars. We really reached.
It was quite a tapestry of themes. Yes.
Not only was it a tapestry, but if you were at Quark's bar, there would not be enough Kanar to get you very far if you're reading our comments pulling out of a jar.
Yes.
It would have been a mess, folks.
If you're driving, pull over in your car right now.
and make that door ajar. All right, so
having done that, the lifers will now take off. Okay.
So I pulled out some of the best comments from our episodes. I want to run through and just kind of share how much things have changed and how things haven't changed. Episode number 1, you remember our theme? You know our theme.
Theme? We didn't have a theme music then.
No, we didn't have theme music. That came a few months later.
A few months later. Yeah. But no, the original panel was going to be about Picard and trauma.
Yeah.
Over the times.
We had a comment from Scott from episode 1. Scott was there from the beginning. And on April 18th, close to First Contact Day, but not.
You got them dated.
I got them dated. Scott said, "For myself, I'm constantly trying to do something I may not have done before. Read books, binge TV shows, go for walks in different locations, home projects that don't require in-store time, anything that I've been putting off for years, and of course, communicate with each other." Remember that time when it was like, some folks were like, what do I do with myself? Some folks were like, how do I get out of my house? Our options were so limited for what we could do.
My grocery store is out of bread. I can't bake anymore.
Yep.
What do I do now? Yeah.
How do I keep myself connected with other people when I can't? When I can't be physically connected. That's really, I think Scott's comment sums up why we even started the show in the first place.
One of them? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Episode 2 was about Deep Space Nine and uncertainty.
Wait, are you going to go through all 87?
Not all every episode.
Okay.
I've got some highlights.
Why did you wait this late? Okay.
I know. So over here,
what's in that press?
Glenn in episode 2, when we were talking about uncertainty, said a Heisenberg compensator would come in handy right now to deal with all this uncertainty. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Larry, we are still dealing with all that uncertainty now. Maybe not as much as we had then about how COVID works.
Well, Will Rogers, my hero, had a great quote. He said, "The more you know, the more you realize you don't know."
Yeah. Still very true. Still very true.
And apt about all kinds of things, including this pandemic.
We had Dan say, thinking of the sound of her voice, where the Defiant crew had to walk through a Starfleet crew, talk through a Starfleet crew woman, and all the while not yet knowing she's already dead. And today, on the day my grandmother passed away due to COVID-19, I've been thinking about the DS9 crew confronting their losses through the Dominion War, but still got on with things. True heroes. And Dan, I appreciate you saying that 2 years ago. I appreciate,
2 years ago, yeah.
But like that's one of the things that over the course of Life Support Life we've lost people. And we've lost people in the Star Trek family.
Mhm.
We have lost people in our own families. And I'm thinking about, we joke around about all the trauma of Discovery and Picard, but it's been a difficult time, and there's been a lot of losses for everyone.
Mhm.
I don't think anyone's
Mhm.
really been untouched by.
And mini K3 of Picard season 1, no matter what you think about it, but there's
Yeah.
a lot of resonated with a lot of people during the pandemic.
Yes.
And or no, I'm sorry, Discovery's season 3 resonated with a lot of people about the pandemic, the isolation and making connections, and the people being thrown into a new world, and everyone being off kilter,
Yeah.
900 years up, and the fact that came off as a giant season-long metaphor for the pandemic when it was written the year before. They had no idea that it was going to resonate with people that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Episode 6 was about sleep.
Mini K3.
And one of our long-time folks who couldn't be here today, Libby, said, one reason I drove to the state park yesterday was to take a day off work, even though I'm working from home. I realized I needed to get away, even if it's just for part of the day. So many people over the course of this time were trying to figure out, how do I work from home? And Libby's comment, which would seem so strange now, it's like, well, of course, working from home is just like working anywhere else, and you need to take time off. But we were all trying to figure it out.
The part of the world that had never worked from home,
yeah,
it was suddenly new. Right.
Yeah. We talked about episode 7 was about gatekeeping, and Zahir said, we actually can eradicate poverty, greed, and racism, develop the tech needed to do so. But the scary part is how are we going to have that happen first? Is COVID-19 our Gabriel Bell moment?
Like the sacrifice made to springboard.
Yeah. And, early in this pandemic, I thought maybe this is what helps us to unite around a shared goal. Sadly,
never underestimate the power of our corporate global masters.
Yeah, it hasn't happened, has it?
Now, there've been there's been a lot more awareness.
Yes.
Maybe it's a 2 steps forward, 1 step back thing.
Yeah, I think it might be.
There's a lot more people savvy about, and the whole thing about our essential workers. I forgot what the Europe and UK and Europe calls them something else, but the essential workers, who were the people who get paid the least to keep civilization running. Yeah.
Can I play a clip from one of my favorite episodes?
No.
So, do you remember our first guest on Life Support Live? We had a few. We had the Voyager documentary folks, but we also had Glenn Dakin.
Yeah. Yep.
Remember
his author?
Book?
Yes. Well, he had 2 or 3 come out, but he had the Cocktails book.
Yep.
And he had the Little Spock's Book of Mindfulness or something. Spock's Little Book of Mindfulness. Yes.
We had a little giveaway.
Year ago. Yes, we had a giveaway, and
he had this wonderful response to one of our questions, and I just wanted to highlight that here. It's one of my favorite moments from Life Support Live. Then, have you taken away from Spock that has most helped you with this wild and wacky year that we've been living in now?
I think the thing that came across to me was that Spock wouldn't see a pandemic so much as a problem as an opportunity. It's an opportunity if you can't go out to go in. It's a chance to explore yourself and mentally, your spiritual side, maybe learn things. Be creative. I mean, people like me, writers, we've had a chance to sit down and get on with creative things and write things which we wouldn't perhaps have been able to do before. And I think Spock is a great problem solver because he looks at things as they are, not as he would want them to be. And that's a mindfulness thing. Don't sit around thinking, if only it wasn't like this. It is like this. So what can I do? And I know that whereas Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock generally could solve any problem within about 45 minutes. Well, we don't get the adverts in the UK, so the shows were about 45 minutes, I think. So they would have had this all done by now. McCoy would have had the hypo out, and kill 'em or cure 'em, Jim. They didn't wait for things to get approval, vaccines to get approval on Star Trek. They just said this will either kill him or cure him, and they did it. But don't try that at home. Don't
Don't try this at home, kid.
Yeah, so I think that's what I learned a lot from this book.
Yeah.
I was impressed with the character as a problem solver, somebody who faces things as they actually are, and takes an opportunity, turns a setback into an opportunity. Actually, that sounds like what they say about Kirk in Search for Spock, turning something into a decent chance to live. So I guess I would say I learned not to complain about the way things are, and to try and do something positive with the time. I've even been drawing more. I've been playing guitar more, writing books more, and I've learned how to cook lots of things I could never cook. So I'm like everyone else. I'm looking forward to things getting a bit more normal. But I think you can learn from philosophy, but I'll tell you what is a very interesting piece of wisdom. Somebody once said it takes more wisdom to benefit from to listen to advice than it does to give it. And people simply cannot take good advice. And, it takes an awful lot of self-knowledge to realize that person is you who's doing something wrong, or who could do better. And I would say you've really got to listen sometimes when people take the time out to comment or give you some advice or tell you something. Don't just say shut up. So I guess that's
especially when it's not at a high decibel level. Maybe then too, but if it's actually thoughtful, then yeah, try to find a way to accept it.
Larry, I've got a good idea for. I think it might be a good idea for our giveaway. Our chat, Glenn, came alive with people sharing their favorite versions of Spock. I'm wondering if we can read those out, and Glenn might pick his second favorite besides Moody Spock, and that might. Yeah, we're still here, folks. I'm just trying to cut out this video, and what's fun about Life Support Live is there has to be some type of technical difficulties. Otherwise, it's just not an episode of.
And I'm not used to this. Is the eCam window?
Yeah,
right?
you're actually seeing all the behind the scenes here, Larry. But folks are able to hear us, and we are here. I just need to access.
Said the Who? We are here.
Yeah.
We are here.
And does that do it? No, that didn't do it. That just took
What
off.
about on the right side?
No, if I do that,
That's the big finish.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. And here, let me go. No, this is just lovely, isn't it, Larry?
Okay, look, you've got a row of icons over there.
Yeah.
And you've got things.
Okay. Well, that's better than nothing over here.
What's that margin do? Move it over?
Here. I can do
picture
this.
in picture.
Yeah. I can bring us back. There. That works. That gets.
What about our frame?
I'm bringing it back.
People are gonna forget what show we're in.
Yeah.
Can you shrink us down?
I can bring the frame back. Hello, frame. Hello,
Hello, computer.
Hello, computer. Maybe I can't bring the frame back, but we're here. So that was really.
No, just switch the corner. Didn't you just drag it all the way down?
I did.
Can't you go back to the corner and just drag it up a little bit?
Can I bring it?
Go back to your bottom right corner.
Yeah.
Didn't you drag it like a window?
I did.
Okay, can't you just bring it back up a little?
No, because then the video's behind there. I'll figure it out.
There was the frame was on the video.
You know what would be really cool right now?
Something entertaining
would be a K3. Do you have any final K3s?
I have a final K3
for the season finale
yes,
here?
And we're gonna do it the old-fashioned way too, as I said.
Yeah.
So the theme today is transitions. Now, originally we said, the theme can be endings, but endings is kind of a see, at least now we have the full T-shirt effect here. So
yes, people can see the shirt. Yes.
I'd sit up straight, Larry. So I was thinking about endings and transitions out of them.
Yeah.
And what better, when you're thinking about Star Trek, what better to think about than the finales? And we kind of touched on a couple of them today. So we're going to do this the old-fashioned Uncle Larry way, the Tuesdays Live thing.
Yeah.
And look, so here, obviously, we cover your face.
Ah.
There we go.
Whoop.
There we go. So, okay, All Good Things. Do people, over the years, All Good Things has been thought of as maybe and again, K3, we're looking behind the scenes. Ali looks behind the scenes on his side of things.
I look behind the scenes of your eyes, which is your mind.
Right. And we deep dive my K3 Factor, which is the only mental health reference in the original series we can find. But this is our deep dive behind the scenes, but still with our theme today. So with our theme of transitions and endings on the real world side of Star Trek, behind the scenes, yeah, these are camera clips because for some reason finale behind the scenes shots are very rare, at least in my photo collection. But just to talk about it, I saw a pattern forming, a great spectrum here, if you will, something that the great diversity of Star Trek and everybody that enjoys it is also seen in the finales, if you think about it this way. So yeah, Next Generation, boom, All Good Things, right? The most beloved finale, maybe?
And the sky's the limit.
And the sky's the limit. And there might be argument with that as the years have gone by. But look at this. What was going on with TNG's finale? They had a movie already lined up, right? It was
Star
a finale.
Trek 7 generations.
And you would think finales would be emotional and sentimental and it's an ending. But for the TNG cast, they weren't really sentimental about the ending. Some people in the crew, some people who weren't going to be part of Generations, but Generations was so much of the cast and crew that it was really, the mood at the time this was shot was really exhaustion. They were exhaustion, and they knew they'd finished a 26-episode season like always, but instead of having a 3 months off, they were going to have 1 month off and come back and shoot the movie. And the movie would be slower paced to make than an episode. But still, there was a lot of exhaustion going on. But that's odd because the audience, we're all emotional and sentimental about it ending, right? But behind the scenes, that was true. Contrast that with what many people now might say was the other tied for best finale, right? And some of our Seventh Rule folks are in the audience, I know. So this is behind the scenes shot. This is all the regulars in the bar, seen from Vic's bar on the last day, and their stand-ins. So you've got regular cast folks and stand-ins there in a show that was full, an episode that was full of folks. Like if you looked around the audience, you've got Ira here. See Ira without a blue beard. And Hans Beimler, and everybody's here with their wives, and there's Renee Echeverria over there, and you got Ron Moore back here, pre-Jesus Ron here. But you contrast the TNG finale with the DS9, both in the way it was done. The sentimental scene was the poker scene group shot, but DS9, Ira, the DS9 crew knew they didn't have a movie to go to. This was it. Talk about endings.
Yeah.
There was no movie. There was not likely to be a movie on the horizon in 10 or 15 years.
And minus Worf and Michael Dorn, we haven't seen any of those actors or characters again.
Right. So they were living it up. They were living the sentimental, emotional frustration roller coaster ride.
The best is yet to come. Actually, it's done.
It is. But then yet another one, you come a couple more years later, and the Voyager finale, right? Again, sorry, no great behind-the-scenes shots. The Voyager finale is a different critter. They knew they weren't having a movie either.
A very different critter.
But DS9 had been the second show, right?
Yeah.
And they ended. Voyager was ending without any hope of a movie. But Voyager's indignity was, hey, we've got this new show coming along. The new show is going to save the franchise and revitalize everything. Can you guys hurry up and get off these stages? We need your stages. Don't let the screen door hit you on the way out. I mean, it was really, and they talked about that. But I remember that feeling, that vibe. And Voyager did not do what Ira did with DS9 and had that big kind of company and friends of the show. I should have been in that. I could have. Ira was mad at me for not coming in and sitting in the audience.
There's no shot.
Right. Yeah, there was no shot like that in Voyager. So they had no movie coming. It was an ending, but they were like, don't let please get out of here. And then, sadly, we all know what happened next.
Yeah.
Right? There was a lot of fan backlash on Enterprises finale. It wasn't a 2-hour, it was just a 1 hour. But it was also, as much as fans look back at that and go, what were you thinking? And people like to look at Terra Firma
as a finale.
and as the finale, Terra Prime as the finale. And that's a good thing to go to because it did have it had the joint effect, and it also had a lot of people as extras. Well, this did have a big extra scene that I was part of.
Yep.
You did have that. You did have Majel come down as she had done back in the day, and Majel and Rod coming in to say hello to start off a show and to end a show. You had that, but it was only an hour, and it not only was the end of the show with no movie in sight, it was the end of the Berman era, and it was really depressing and bittersweet.
There was no new Trek on the horizon.
So it's like when we all go through, and we've had no finales. Now Picard has filmed their season 3 and series wrap finale. We haven't seen it yet, so it's out there. And none of the current shows have had a finale, a series finale. They have not had a final season wrap up.
I guess maybe short treks.
So we get into all this. So it's like, look, here's Next Gen, who had so much success ahead of them already in mind that they didn't have time to be sentimental. You've got DS9, sad to have a real ending, but knowing to celebrate it. You've got Voyager almost not given a chance to celebrate and wasn't constructed to do that. You've got Enterprise thinking it was a sad time and trying to build a nice goodbye, and yet blowing it up where no one feels sentimental.
Not quite the Valentine as it was intended.
And in the years since, the crew even we're talking backstage here. But here's the thing. How about from the era when nobody even got finales? You remember the last shot of the original series? It's Kirk, Spock, and Scotty's butts getting in an elevator. Getting in a turbo lift. That's what the original series got, and they had to live with that for 12 years until they had the motion picture. They didn't
I can live with it.
You can live with it.
I can live with it.
There is scotch in this glass.
Yeah. Delete this entire stream.
So we're talking about endings and transitions, and we all have those in our life. And it just struck me how all the finales of Star Trek so far reflect all the crossroads that sometimes we have a wonderful ending, sometimes we have an okay ending, sometimes we have an ending with a future, sometimes we have no idea, and sometimes we don't even realize it's really an ending. Should I be doing something special?
Well, you know what they say about the future, Larry? It is an undiscovered country. It's unknown how these things are going to be.
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. Anyway, that wasn't so much a shocker, Keith. I always used to try to get Ali to learn something new and be surprised.
Yeah. I learned nothing new there. However, it is poignant for us as we talk about Life Support Live and what the future of Life Support Live will be. It will be around. We don't know quite what it's going to be. We know we're going to have things like this.
And should we just say that we're over time as usual? But we're going to for everybody who's going to jump on and you're watching all the virtual TrekCon events, we know there's something happening now.
Yeah,
but
I think Women at Warp is up.
We're going to finish out the indie show.
We're doing. I think our lifers are here. And so I want to run through a lot of these comments. Part of the fun of the drinking game was that Jarrod kind of coined for us was tapestry. Whenever take a drink whenever someone mentions tapestry. Well, on episode 37, we finally got to doing a watch along of tapestry.
Yeah.
And Anne Marie said, "Oh my God, how is it so much fun watching Star Trek with other people?" And I think that became part of the fun of what we did was doing these watch-alongs together, and that is definitely something that will be a continued.
Because they were very low tech, and maybe that'll change. But bring your own media, BYOM.
Yeah.
But yes, that's something we're doing. And what you said there, and what we said at the beginning, we are the brand is staying alive. The weekly show is going away, but we will be with you off and on.
And then we're talking about all the losses we had. One of the episodes that really sticks out to me was episode 43 that we sort of dedicated to General Chang.
You know all the show numbers.
Almost as if I have a little cheat sheet right over here. We dedicated this. We were inspired to do General Chang because of
The passing
of
Christopher Plummer.
Which I think just had happened like hours, like a day before or something like that.
Who also played an avid anti-Nazi in The Sound of Music.
And Melanie said, I was the only Trekkie in town in high school. I was a nerd before it was chic, Spock years, etc. Bullied like crazy, and then the movies and spin-offs came out, and Vindication.
Vindication.
I think that's been something cool about Life Support Live as well, is we've just had a community where people can share their stories, what Star Trek means to them. And that's been one of my favorite parts, is getting to know people and getting to know their stories. I never
getting to know them, getting to know all about them.
Reading your comments, asking you to subscribe and like us.
Yes. But that's the thing with Life Support Live, with everything I've done. Now you do the Psych Show.
Never live before this.
You never. Oh, that's right.
I never did anything live.
And I have my Portales from Portal 47, and that was. But all of these things I started not thinking it's all on me to provide something and get it out there. And the idea that we had people not just throw it back, but throw it back amongst each other.
Yeah.
And make this community.
You know what?
It's been some of the great.
When we were saying we're gonna finish this, Charlotte said, "I'm here for the duration." Very sweet, very sweet. And
be careful what you wish for, Lieutenant.
Yeah. On episode 47, we did an episode just called "Attention!" !
Well, it was episode 47 after all. Yeah.
And then Andrew said, "I'm still waiting for the episode of Life Support Live where Dr. Trek and Dr. Ali are combined in a transporter accident." I think this is as close to that as you get. We beamed you up. And that's as close as you're going to get. Episode 50 was the AMA. And this is...
the golden episode.
The golden
50,
episode,
right.
Yeah.
A real landmark.
Jarrod said, "I'm planning the Life Support Live retreat. It will happen even if I have to vaccinate everyone myself." Do you remember all the jokes Jarrod made about...
Jarrod is big on our retreat, yeah.
Yeah.
There have been 4,700 Life Support Live retreats thrown out.
And do you remember the times where Jarrod would join in while he was vaccinating people?
Yes.
Yeah. Not literally vaccinating and like watch it, but he would listen in while he was
Jarrod, you had a job as one of the they had people coming in who were quickly trained to get over the hump of getting vaccinations out during the pandemic. Yeah.
And this was around our 1-year anniversary when the vaccination effort
was really trying to ramp up.
And there was a great hope for what this would mean.
Finally.
Yeah, we're going to be... Yeah.
By late summer, we'll be all out of this tunnel. Yeah.
53 was a fun one. It was our anniversary episode. Do you remember what we did for our anniversary? Our 1-year anniversary?
No, dear. I don't remember what we did.
We watched The Cage.
Oh, that's right.
The very beginning.
That's right.
And
a very good place to start. Why are we doing Sound of Music all over the place?
A very good place to start.
Christopher Plummer's still hanging over.
When you stream, you begin with CAGE.
Okay.
The Cage?
Yes.
Yeah. Do I have to spell it out for you again?
No, you don't.
CAGE.
You didn't have to spell it for me for the first time.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Robin said, "I'm with all the visual shout-outs. Life Support Live has been a mental salvation through this pandemic." And, I didn't expect that to happen, too, is so many people to plan their Saturdays around Life Support Live.
On multiple continents.
Yes, and time zones and
yeah.
Some people planning their mornings and some people planning their evenings.
Just shows you how desperate the pandemic made people.
We did an episode called Reconstructed History where Charlotte said, "I hosted a work event for 50 plus people this week. Got to see folk I haven't seen in person in over a year, including my students. That was lovely, and I didn't have a panic attack."
This is 58, so we're talking June, July-ish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this was actually the exact date here. This was... I accidentally deleted it. Never mind. We'll never know. We'll never know what that was. We watched... also from Charlotte, we watched Crisis Point from Lower Decks. And she said, now that Boimler is on the Titan, maybe Ty can teach him plexing. That boy needs to chill.
Plexing? Is plexing in the drinking game? If plexing's not in the drinking game.
Christoph said she'll give him a new nickname too. And then Melanie said, how about Boiler? He's always in hot water. Which I love. But remember all the plexing jokes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's out of you because you didn't.
I hate it. I hate plexing.
And I'd say it's betazoid physiology, so it makes it.
So why is she teaching Barkley that?
Because she's broad-minded, and as any good clinician should do, she has a wide toolbox to resort to if need be.
I just wanted to highlight this one for anyone who doesn't know. This is from episode 72, Kirk Psychology.
So it had time to ferment.
This is a bit more developed, yes. Jarrod's drinking game. Take a drink whenever anyone sings. Check, we did that today. Anyone does an impression.
Damn it! What's wrong with that?
Remember. Larry mentions been coy. Done. You did that once.
You noticed that, right?
Yeah. Anyone mentioned... Let me
see how I did that?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, let me make this a little bit
No, it's
smaller
fine.
here.
It's fine. It's more fun to jump around it.
Anyone mentions tapestry. We did that today.
We got the frame back.
Yeah,
somehow.
we got the frame. I fixed it. I interplexed the plexing beacon. Ollie brings up the Kelvin timeline.
Those are really bird feeders, you know.
Oh, yeah.
The interplexing beacon in First Contact.
Those
are clear bird feeders. Mini K3, free of charge. Okay.
What?
Yes.
That's so ridiculous. That's like about as ridiculous as making a shuttle out of a Gillette shaver. Ollie brings up the Kelvin timeline. Check. Anyone mentions plexing? Also check.
It is in the drinking game.
Yeah,
okay, there we go.
Oh, my goodness. And then Jarrod says, take 2 drinks if you almost drown in whale urine.
I think that was...
That's a cetacean division.
Cetacean ops?
Cetacean ops joke.
Cetacean division.
I don't know.
Well, those cetaceans were really keen on cetacean multiplication, if you know what I mean. Okay.
We did an episode 74 called about disappointment.
Yeah, I know. I really wasn't happy with the way it turned out.
No, me either. It was a little disappointing. Christoph said at DST, Kate Mulgrew said, what's DST?
Destination. It's the European license cons.
Yeah.
Destination.
Everyone, I don't know. Kate Mulgrew said, everyone has mental health issues. It's just a matter of degree and how you deal with it. And I think that's been really cool, too, with Life Support Live. People, again, sharing their stories and their experiences. And then also, Libby in that episode said, Trike is all about dysfunctional families. Spocks, Worfs, Dr. Bashir's, Quarks, Roms, McCoys. And I think that's another big takeaway for me, Larry, is that if we all have these issues, if all of our families are like this, if all the Trek families are like this, it means that's not abnormal. It means it's very normal. It's common.
It's about degree, right?
It's all about
right.
Yeah. Which has been a great.
Sometimes it's nurture, and sometimes it's nature,
and sometimes it's a little bit of both. Most of the time. Episode 77 was one you were a little cautious of. The motion picture watch along. All 4 hours of it.
Oh, I was okay. I don't remember that.
You were like, well, you want to watch a motion picture? Okay.
Well, I think I was thinking of all the committed hours on film or video of Star Trek. We're going to go to the motion picture. But it was the anniversary. We're getting into the anniversary.
And who knew how hard it was to watch the right version?
That's true.
It was so hard for us to access it.
Well, we had what we wanted to see, but who could see that?
Yeah, who could see that?
Right. The long version was not available streaming then, I think.
But this was an unexpected comment. Linda saying, this is much better than I remembered. We had a few people say how fun that was.
Compared to our normal show, it was just ripping right along. Boy, howdy. Okay.
Said no one ever about the motion picture. Wow, that was a very fast-paced piece of entertainment.
Whoa, I got to watch that 3 or 4 times. It's something went by so fast I missed it. Yeah.
I don't even remember what inspired the theme here, but episode 79 was Small First Contacts. And this is, of course, did someone say Damar, says Charlotte. Libby says he's in Quark's bar. Charlotte responds, where they serve Kanar. In a jar. So wait, there's more. Oh, it was so big. I had to take two screenshots.
Take 2.
Sponsored by Jebhadar, imported from afar.
So if you're not a regular lifer here, there are some infinitely long R strains that got going.
And go into.
You'll notice it's not part of the drinking game because no one would survive if it was.
And also, I don't know. Yeah. Just a few weeks ago, on 86, Jarrod, this was about biochemicals. Jarrod said, and I will continue to do Zoomy chatty things on a monthly basis for the Lifer community. And I just wanted to highlight how our community looks out for each other, even when we might not be here. Jarrod,
even when we're not, they are.
Yeah.
Because one thing is, we didn't know what the cutoff would be, and as real life came back in all its ways, you and your family. Events and travel coming back and family, and holidays suddenly became a thing to do, not the thing to wish you could do. And but thanks to Jarrod for jumping in some of those times and having a show going when we were gone, and continuing on now.
When I was looking through these comments, it was interesting. All of 2020, we almost didn't miss a week, but then at the tail end of 2021, we started missing a lot. Yeah, because
tiptoe back out in the world, right?
The world was kind of opening back up again. And just last week, episode 87, Libby said...
Way back then, I remember.
Back then. Back March 12th, 2022. But the sad music isn't sad because I've made so many friends here. Friends I will one day meet in person and others with whom I have reconnected. And we will have that at some point. We're going to have, I don't know if it's a life support live
with you
retreat.
Being that emphatic, we have to.
We have to. This whole community, all of you folks, we will one day somehow meet IRL.
I'm feeling like it's like a World War II movie. We'll meet again. It's the way Stephen Colbert ended his, or one of them ended their show.
I can't tell where, I can't tell when. Which con will we beam into? But we will meet again.
Well, I have a couple of things. Are we there? Are we?
Yeah.
Are we wrapping? You got through everything. Yes.
I got through everything. Well, I kind of wanted to ask you. Looking back,
you did actual research, so that was impressive.
I did. I did some stuff. I asked our community in our Facebook group. I want to ask you, and I'll share as well. But what's your looking back? What's your big takeaway here from Life Support Live?
Wow. Once again, how well, the thing I loved about doing this show was I got to do something in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Some behind the scenes. I got to do my sweet spot, but also something that felt like it was putting more good out in the world than wondering, I'm sorry, your cuff braid is a half inch too low on the end of your sleeve. I don't think that's the correct shade of copper on that era com badge. I believe it had 2 degrees more yellow in the mix for the bronze.
It was not canary yellow. I believe it was sunrise yellow.
Well, you're that fan. I'm this fan. But no, it was. I felt like I was able to put some good out in the world, some positivity, and just at a time when everybody was needing some of that. And I liked the merger of our two minds, putting the show together. And I thought it was cool that it was not a failure, but it was like a plan that didn't happen the way it was supposed to, so it went over here and became this fan. And once again, like I said, the idea that, my gosh, if you put something out in the world and you collaborate on something, especially that somebody's going to enjoy it, and a lot of folks have been regulars here. And I knew that at some point we didn't know, and then when someone had family, and it was kind of the right thing for both of us to do, to stop the weekly, that was going to be disappointing to a lot of folks, actually. Yeah. And so, like, soft landing how we would do this, and also with the idea that we weren't going totally, it's too good an idea and too good a concept, and we're so awesome together that it was too good a thing to just like totally let go, even as life is moving on. We said for the duration. So that's been a thing. The whole thing in pandemic in general has been, 7 years ago, I started Portal 47 using freeconferencecall.com, and we've got some portales.
Oh my gosh, really?
Portales on here, because I knew it from my coaching and business side. It was a tool. Yeah. But for both fans and for the behind the scenes folks that I love to spotlight and get their stories out and preserved, so many folks that were retired, it was like, webcam? What? How do we do this? What? And one thing about the pandemic is, I'm sure the shareholders of Zoom are all loving it. But but the world now has learned this virtual tool, and hopefully it won't go down some dark rabbit hole some way, the way all our social channels did 10 years ago. But it's like we're all used to this tool. So on one hand, doing Portal that way is not such a big deal. But I started doing live streaming on Tuesdays Live with just my my camera and me hand scrawling on my screen to read comments. And one thing that we've gotten a little bit higher sophistication. You wouldn't know it all the time. But streaming has opened up for so many people, and we all can. I can, you can, we can all. You didn't do any live events, and he's come a long way. So
It's been a long road.
I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
But
Streaming
that's
from
it.
there to here.
It's knowing that we can have a community build up. You have an idea, you can collaborate, you can do, which we've done. People do, but just our unique corner. And I still don't know. Maybe someone out there is doing what we're doing here, and not that it's a competition. But I still don't know of a lot of folks doing what we've been doing. So anyway, but all the old shows are there, video and podcast both.
Yeah. So here says comic book guy Larry is my favorite Larry. God, I love that.
No,
Larry.
don't drag me into comic world. That's totally Trek fan. That's totally Trekkie Larry. That's
looking back for me. There's been a lot that I've learned. So there's a behind the scenes production stuff. Like I feel very comfortable doing live streams now. So I've gained that skill that I never had before of this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
But also like I never knew. I mean, and there's all the K3s. I really did enjoy like how you tried to stump me and bring
Well, it
something
didn't start
new.
off that. I wasn't trying to stump
I
you.
know,
I just
I know.
did it. But he'd go, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I love those moments of discovery because I love expanding my understanding and knowledge of something I love, which is Star Trek. And
Good.
well, and the other thing is I never really, I would always watch episodes of Star Trek, and the big ones I would think about a lot, like In the Pale Moonlight, Tapestry, we all the ones we always talk
Mm-hmm.
about. But I never expected us to be able to pick these like moment themes, these small moments, and then like really extrapolate on
When
them.
we do the litany of examples.
Yes. And what I know folks sometimes
Across all the years. Yeah.
sometimes it was thin, and sometimes it was a variation on a theme you've already heard. But we were genuinely trying to explore new directions and characters that we haven't mentioned before. I think in the second half of this season of Life Support Live, we were trying to go into new territory, new characters we haven't covered before.
Strange new topics.
Boldly going where no Life Support Live had gone before. Yeah. And that was a ton of fun. It was a ton of fun. It was challenging, but it was a ton of fun.
Yeah, because we got to. I was like, I always say this about anything I do. I try not to be the same old that's out there. But then it was like on ourselves. It was like, can we not go back to Wrath of Khan again? Can we not go back to Journey to Babel? Can we not go back? Trying to find guest stars instead of regular characters.
And the other thing that I think Charlotte says over here, there were a lot.
Now
of
we're back to current comments.
Yeah, and Charlotte, by the way. It was very hard. Charlotte made it very difficult for me last night when I was going through all the comments because so many of the top comments were always from Charlotte. Over the last 3 months, the top comments were almost always from Charlotte. So Charlotte, thank you for that. Thank you for making my job very difficult in a good way. But Charlotte says over here, there are a lot of virtual Trek communities that emerge out of the pandemic, and they're all wonderful, but the Life Support Live community is really where I found myself and connected with folks. Thank you all for being a part of it. And Libby said this, let me get her comment exactly. She said this on the Facebook page.
Don't misquote Libby.
And I don't want to misquote.
She'll send Rom and a spatula after you.
She said, here's her comment from last night. That doesn't work at all. Another thing I love.
Here, I'll duck. So
that's okay. Nah, that's it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Another thing I love about Life Support Live is gatekeeping isn't tolerated. We can disagree about new versus old track or episodes or characters or whatever and understand it's just an opinion. I could tear apart any track but choose to enjoy it instead. I haven't found that with many other fandom sites. That was very important to you and I from the very beginning. This is not about that's better, this is better. Let's make lists of rank and compare. There's a lot of shows that do that, and that's not us. And I think the community as a result of that, has been a largely pretty positive, safe place to share and express and understand and connect.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the best part about
we
all
came
this.
up with not we. Someone came up in the social media era with the term gatekeeping, and maybe it existed in mental health before that. I don't know, but it's like such a waste of time to me. It's like, why get off on? You never know where the Star Trek especially went through. You know, it was in the fallow years of No New Trek, and from the middle of Enterprise on, there was this big fear among fandom and the folks that made money on Star Trek, both, that we were all going to age ourselves out of the demographic, and that like Trekkie parents couldn't keep pumping out enough kids, enough Borg babies, you know, to keep up the demographic, that we were all going to age out of existence. And it's like, why would you intentionally push people away but that's the same kind of short-sightedness that you was when you're that way to other people. So everybody, you know, to me, the model is, whether it's sports fandom or it's Trek fandom or any genre, it's like, yeah, go have your what we used to call bar debate, you know, before and after the time you could settle anything. Now you can settle any question, any trivia battle on your phone in 10 seconds, and you just go on to the next question that much faster.
Yeah.
But I mean, why push and shove people away? Why not, you know, the old thing was, and Gene would say, it's not just that infinite diversity, infinite combinations means you tolerate differences, but that you find the ways to celebrate them. It's what we got off on earlier, you know, about going the next step. And the lesson that kind of came out of Discovery this season was it's not just accepting others. It's like, oh, here's the cool thing about what makes you different.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So thank you, folks.
But gatekeeping is so wasteful and so counterproductive. If you're trying to build your own fandom up, why shut people down?
Well, we have to thank you all for keeping it so positive, supportive. Yeah, that's been also so much of the fun, is just seeing the discussion and dialogue. And there were some episodes where you and I were talking about something and the community was talking about something else. And there's been episodes where we're all in sync.
Probably going off on a Damar, Jar, Kanar, Bar, far and far away thread.
But it's always been fun, and it's always been unexpected. And that's the other thing, is like every week I never knew what direction things were going in, either in terms of our topic or the community, and that was part of the fun. It was always something to look forward to, and we will, in one form or another, we are going to be back. Larry, speaking of being back, what else do you have cooking this weekend at Virtual Trek Con?
Well, yeah, there's a couple things going on, gang. So one thing, again, high tech this week. Here is a lot of you are seeing the Virtual Trek Con logo. Oh, that's bad. I don't have the thing. There we go. Sunday night. It's 7 Pacific. It's 10 Eastern. Myself, John Champion, Bree Bulkey,
I know
and
that guy.
Char Schmidt are going to do, after if you haven't heard now, you should be hearing, the Live Long and Prosper Awards that the Virtual TrekCon folks, it's the 7th Thrill folks, did a wonderful, not a typical awards. It's not like who's the better writer or actor. It was characters and moments and situations. Legacy shows, the current shows, got everybody involved, had the nominations. Now, it's too late to vote, much less make a nomination. But they're going to announce the awards Sunday evening. I'm not sure of the start time, probably a couple hours before this.
And the name of the awards?
Oh, it's the LLAP. It's the Lappies, right?
The Lappies. I love
it. Get it? There we go. Okay. See the hand? Okay.
Back.
Boom. We're not getting the color, the full color impact. There we go. There we go. LLAP Awards. Then at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern, that quadrant, that quartet I said, we're going to react to them. So it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be live. The announcements
We're doing it live.
Announcements. There's some guest presenters, some celebs, I think, are going to make the actual awards show happen. And then we'll come on and do the wrap up like the end of Election Day coverage or something. But we'll have a lot of fun and invite you guys to join in. And that'll be kind of the closing, I think, of the weekend, maybe. I think so. That's happening. And then, everybody, I want to announce today something that we tried to do last year that COVID did. Here's news from Trekland.
We've got a news alert, folks, coming to you live.
Red alert. Here we go. This was going to happen last year.
Cover your face.
Yes, cover. A lot of you know that I work with Geek Nation Tours. We do location film site tours. I do my own company where you could do a day tour, Trekland Treks. Last year, during the Gene Roddenberry Centennial, which in many ways was, sidetracked by the COVID, got in the way of some of the more active events, we couldn't do it. We tried to have a delayed one in October. The COVID second wave messed us up. So this year, at the end of the Gene Roddenberry Centennial year, I'm going to offer this 2-day tour to Gene's life places. Star Trek, his TV writing career, where he grew up, where his married life was, both of them, his time with the LAPD. But and Rod Roddenberry is going to be part of this. We're still working things out. There's going to be a screening of Trek Nation with Rod, maybe some guests.
Highly recommend. But
it's going to be a 2-day. It's the weekend of, it's close to his actual birthday. Here we go. We're another week or two of this, and we'll get it down. August 20th, 21st. Go to my site right now, Larry at LarryNemecek.com. But if you want to ask me about it right now, just email me, Larry at LarryNemecek. Get a hold on me on socials. We will hook up. I'm still getting it down. I've got it priced. I'm just tweaking it, but I wanted to take today to announce it and let everybody know this is actually the weekend before Vegas. If you're going to Creation Vegas, whatever it's being called, I still call it STLV because it's still Star Trek in Las Vegas. But that's happening. There's other things happening down the pike. If you get on my list, if you go to LarryNemecek.com, get on my news list. And there's 2 or 3 other things happening. I'm going to be in Detroit at PenguaCon at the end of April, which finally solidified. And it looks increasingly, I'm not going to officially say, but it looks increasingly like I'm going to be back at Chicago for the Chicago mission. That's been back and forth.
Mission.
Yes.
Yeah, I was at the first one.
The new efficient in New York.
Julie Nimoy and I did a panel. Yep.
Wow.
At New York Mission, Star Trek Mission.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you've stumped me. That's a K4, I guess.
That's a K4.
Anyway, so we're reopening. That's partly why this is getting hectic again, right? Babies, cons. Changes in life. We're coming at the Monday.
Cons.
The duration is ending on this fact, but we'll be out there. So anyway, get in touch with me if you want to hear about the Gene 100 tour.
Well,
it'll be very unique.
Larry, right now means it is. We're coming to the end here.
We don't have Libby to christen it. The sad.
No. The affectionately or not affectionately referred to as the sad music right now is playing, and we're coming to the end here of this episode and this version of Life Support Live. Mm-hmm. But it is it's not the end of Life Support. It's just it's in transition.
Yes,
it's gonna change.
And so, we should do a show on that theme sometime.
One day we'll tackle that theme. Add it to the list. So folks, we are we'll still be around. You can always find me on Twitter at Ali Mattu, ALIMATTU. If you don't know how to spell that by now, 88 episodes in,
it's right there on the frame board.
It's right on the frame. Let's stay in touch on Twitter, Instagram, our easy places, and then the Psych Show is going to be. There's going to be more stuff coming out. Life's hectic, but it's new stuff is coming out. And Larry,
the Psych Show is your channel, by the way.
It's on, on.
And
on
were
YouTube.
you just in a project that just?
Oh yeah, thank you for mentioning this. There's a documentary that I was in. We've worked on it for a long time.
You had an image ready and everything.
There we go. Yeah, I didn't plan for it. Just like you, anxiety and depression. It's available.
That doesn't look anything like you.
No, it doesn't. That's not me.
Oh,
that's not me. That's
reason.
Why. Yeah.
Good reason.
Just like you, anxiety and depression. It's available on iTunes, on Amazon, on YouTube. You can watch it wherever you get your movies. Check it out. We made it for the children, Larry, to help them understand how to be a good friend to someone who has anxiety and depression.
Stream for the children.
Filmed in 2019, released in 2022.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Larry, where can people find more Trekland?
LarryNemecek.com, where everything Trekland. Where you're watching right now on Facebook and YouTube. Please subscribe on YouTube. I got into the game late. At Larry Nemecek on Twitter. That will do it. Portal47.net and TreklandTreks.net if you want to do a day tour. You can't make the Gene Roddenberry tour. We will work out a day with you. That's what we do.
Yeah. And folks, we are...
the T Public store. If you want some life support swag, it'll still be there, and everything else I do.
Yeah. Yeah, it will be. And until next time, folks, live long and prosper.
Yes. Trek well, everybody.
See ya.